The Pirate Journey of Arceus. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301. Odin is dead. After Fugetsu Miyame and Shimotsuki Jayumaru, the remaining daimyo are Ugetsu Tempura and Shimotsuki Yasu. Ugetsu Tempura is about the same strength as Fugetsu Miyame, but Yasu Shimotsuki is different. Although he is the main family of Shimotsuki Jayumaru, if Shimotsuki Jayumaru is the strongest daimyo, then Yasu Shimotsuki is just the opposite. He is definitely at the bottom among the daimyo of Wano country, and Elizabeth is enough to deal with him. Although Elizabeth also ate those poisonous foods, the toxins were useless to the basilisk lizards. It is better to say that, because of those toxins, those bland foods have more spicy taste. The reason why Alga can happily slack off is not because Ugetsu Tempura is weak, but because of the special national conditions of Wano country. Because of the many islands on the Grand Line, each country has its own characteristics, and the development of military power is also very different, such as the Heartnet on Sky Island. Heartnet is another name for Sky Island's observation haki. With the help of the ability of the Thunder Fruit, Enelu has used the observation haki to the point of listening to other people's voices. However, he is not the only one who knows the net. Some of his priests also have the ability of observation haki, but no one on Sky Island can use armament haki. It is different in Wano country. They call armament haki Ryu Sakura. Strong samurai can use this ability, but observation haki is very rare in Wano country. Most people who have not left Wano country do not know observation haki. The best observation haki in Wano country is Odin, who has been out to sea. Not only has he awakened his own ability, but he can even listen to the voices of all things. When he was in Zal, the voice of the Lord of the Elephants faintly came to his mind. Under his teaching, some of his retainers also mastered the ability of observation haki, but Ugetsu Tempura did not. He had never left Wano country, and had been guarding Uden village, so he did not know observation haki. People who do not know observation haki will become powerless when facing Alga, so Ugetsu Tempura did not face Olga at the beginning, but Kazuki Odin's retainers. Although they learned some observation haki under the guidance of Kazuki Odin, their observation haki could not wake up Tempura Ugetsu. Tempura Ugetsu's attack was very difficult for them to deal with when they could be deceived by pain, so they were always timid, which gave Alga the opportunity to slack off. As for the other people here, it would be fine if they didn't come over. If they came over, they would just cause trouble. Humans would not learn to be weird for no reason. If you want to find the most evil among the current members of the 100 Beasts, Alga is definitely at the top. Shaina learned the weirdness from this. Anyway, the goal has been achieved, so she started to slack off blatantly. Tempura-sama, the enemy is over there. Damn. There is no way to get close to that woman. If they don't solve Tempura Ugetsu, they can't get over there. If they don't get over there, they can't solve Tempura Ugetsu's problem. The situation seems to have fallen into a dead end. The situation is getting more and more unfavorable for them. In the end, Ashura Daoji made a choice. Facing the sword stabbed by Tempura Ugetsu, he did not choose to dodge, but let it pierce his arm. He was once called the Kiri monster, and was also the strongest among Odin's retainers. Then he pierced Tempura Ugetsu's arm with a sword, and controlled him at the cost of both of them being injured. Akaku, Reizo, you go and think of a way to deal with that woman. I will suppress Tempura-sama. Kikunojo and Reizo were about to take action after hearing Ashura Daoji's words, but the next moment the whole hall seemed to be quiet, and Kaido walked in from the gap in the city wall, and he was holding Yanma and American English no Hibakiri in his hands. Most people stopped their fights, and looked in Kaido's direction. Only Quinn was still bombarding. Ugh, Olga, do you still like playing this kind of game? Get rid of the illusion. Understood, Captain. As Olga's ability was removed, Ugetsu Tempura realized that the enemy in front of him was actually Odin's retainer, and stopped resisting, and Kaido casually threw out Yanma and American English no Habazan. Kazuki Odin is already. Boom. Kazuki Odin is already. Bang. The collapsed beams fell down, and finally got Kaido's head full of rubble. Compared with ordinary wooden structures, the palace here has a lot of rock materials. Quinn, you guy, be quiet. He picked up a small stone and threw it over, and the scene became quiet, and Kaido finally said what he said. Kazuki Oden is already dead. Do any of you want to surrender? No, it's impossible. How could Lord Oden? How could Lord Oden die here? Ashiradaji roared. He didn't believe this at all, but tears flowed from the corners of his eyes while denying Kaido. Yangma and American English no Hibakiri were Kazuki Oden's swords. He couldn't have mistaken those two swords. If Kazuki Oden hadn't been defeated and died, those two swords would never have fallen into Kaido's hands. Although he didn't want to believe it, he had to accept what Kaido said. Except for Ashiradaji, most of Oden's retainers had the same reaction. Reizo, Kikunojo, go back and take Master Toki away. I will stop them at the risk of my life. Ashiradaji picked up his weapon again in grief. He was a little different from other retainers. He only recognized Kazuki Oden, not the entire Kazuki family. Now that Kazuki Oden has died in battle here, he has no reason to escape. Death in battle here is his fate. Go. Seeing if they still had any action, Ashiradaji scolded them again, and this time asked them to act. Quinn just raised his hand to attack Kikunojo and Reizo who were fleeing, but was stopped by Kaido in the end. Brother Kaido, what are you doing? Are you going to let them go? Yamato needs a target, the remnant of the enemy who are full of hatred. Who is more suitable than this? After explaining, Kaido looked at the tragic Ashiradaji in front of him. Interesting eyes. I admire you very much. Do you want to join me? And you guys, as the daimyo of each village, you don't want to die here like this, right? No one responded to Kaido, and the only answer he gave was the sword rushing towards him. I see, so I get it. Deal with them. Try to capture them alive. Olga, you don't play around. As a big boss, you can't just watch the show from behind. With the arrival of the company boss, Olga's slacking career ended here, and Kaido looked at Ashiradaji in front of him. Although he is as stupid as that guy Oden, his eyes are not bad. I will give you the qualification to challenge me. Chapter 302, 8 Ways of Death for the Black Shark Hole Snake. Although anger can make him burst out with stronger power, it cannot make him cross the gap of combat power. If anger alone can defeat Kaido, then Kaido will fail countless times. Ashura's obstruction is meaningless. If Kaido did not want to train Yamato in the future, Ashiradaji could only buy a few seconds at most. Facing Ashiradaji's attack, Kaido did not even use his body's domineering aura to block Ashiradaji's attack. Then he gave him the same treatment as Kazuki Oden. He still had some interest in Ashiradaji, but he saw the will to die in his eyes, and also saw the feeling similar to Kazuki Oden. Such a person cannot be recruited. Death in battle is the treatment that such a warrior deserves. In this way, Ashiradaji died in Kaido's hands. Compared with surviving in Wano country for 20 years in the original timeline, and then dying from the bomb strengthened in version 2.0, this way of death is more appropriate. Quinn's bombardment had already knocked down Fugetsu Misaki. Under the supervision of the big boss, Olga, who was no longer dawdling, also knocked down Ugetsu Tempura. Elizabeth's battle ended quickly. Only Jin was still fighting Shimotsuki Jaiumaru for the purpose of practice. Seeing this, Kaido did not intervene in Jin's battle, but looked at Shaina who had just flown down from the 3rd floor. Where's Arceus? Is he still dealing with Kurozumi Orochi? No, the holy beast left here a long time ago to go to Miss Yamato, and Kurozumi Orochi was cleared out a long time ago. It's true. He had not been able to detect the breath of Arceus since he came here. At that time, he had a rough guess, and now it seems to be true. How did that guy Orochi die? Well, due to his fruit ability, he has more than one life, so he has experienced many ways of dying. As a mythical beast species of the snake fruit, a devil fruit in the form of Yamato no Orochi. Yamato no Orochi is not that bad in performance, but its user is a weakling. Apart from the ability of Yamato no Orochi that allows the user to have 8 lives, he has not developed any abilities belonging to the mythical beast species. For Arceus, it's just a matter of killing him a few more times. It's really convenient to look at his abilities this way. At least he has played his value. Okay, guys, it's time to end this war. I want to see a brand new Wano country before dawn. Oh. The death of Kazuki Oden boosted the morale of the beasts. Kaido did not attack those miscellaneous soldiers, but just watched his subordinates fight with them, but their high morale had already shown an attitude of winning. Mr. Kaido, I will arrange other things according to the request of the holy beasts. Go ahead, you can do whatever you want. Alga, follow me. Shaina took Alga and began to act according to the previous plan, and Kaido also walked in another direction. At this time went back to the time when Kaido and Kazuki Oden had just started fighting. Thunder and fire opened a smooth path for Arceus, and Kurozumi Orochi could not escape Arceus's control no matter what. Why? Where did I offend you? Kurozumi Orochi, who was forced into a dead end, still couldn't figure it out. These people wanted to kill him since the first time they met. He had cooperated with the actions of the beast's pirates in Wano country for so many years, but they still had no intention of stopping. You lied to me about the slate. This is an unforgivable capital sin. You don't think a slate with only an appearance can deceive me, right? It was not until this moment that Kurozumi Orochi realized the root of the problem. However, even if this incident had not happened, his ending would have been the same. Even if there was only Kaido, he would not be willing to be a collaborator. Only by completely controlling Wano country can the full potential of Wano country be brought into play. He did not want to talk nonsense with Kurozumi Orochi. He stomped his feet casually, and a row of rock spikes stabbed at Kurozumi Orochi. Although Kurozumi Mushin was sent out by him, Kurozumi Chanmaru was still with him. Kurozumi Orochi still valued his life very much. The barrier that appeared blocked Arceus' sharp stone attack, which seemed to give Kurozumi Orochi some confidence. Hahaha, you can't kill me. With this barrier fruit, even Kazuki Oden, that madman, can't break this barrier. But the reality made his pride not last more than 10 seconds. The next moment he heard a scream, and Kurozumi Chanmaru was actually wrapped in flames and turned into a fireman. It was very difficult to break the barrier of the barrier fruit, but he could bypass the barrier and kill Kurozumi Chanmaru directly. The barrier fruit only blocked the attack, and the airflow could flow through as usual, otherwise the people inside would be suffocated to death in a short time, which means that energy can also pass through this barrier, and Arceus has the ability to launch his own attack through the barrier. After Kurozumi Chanmaru died, there was naturally no one else to support the barrier for Kurozumi Orochi. He did not like to listen to others' pleas for mercy, so the flame vortex did not disappear after killing Kurozumi Chanmaru, but continued to expand the range to include Kurozumi Orochi in the attack range. The charred snake seemed to be really dead, lying on the ground motionless, but this trick could not be hidden from Arceus, and his original ability to save his life became his biggest failure at this time. He experienced the pain that ordinary people only had to experience once, and Kurozumi Orochi disappeared from this world after being attacked by 8 attributes. Then Arceus did not care about the battle in the palace of the flower capital, but walked outside the flower city, with Yamato as the location. The beast's pirates and the samurai started a street fight. However, unlike ordinary protection, the beast's pirates wanted to protect the one who rushed to the front, and those samurai could not hold on under Ken's attack. The nearby givers also gradually came, and finally, as Mandafesh rushed in with an elite team, the original stalemate was completely broken. Seeing that the situation here was completely controlled by the beasts, Arceus left here with peace of mind. The war in Wano country is far more than these places. Fights also broke out in the Hakume area, but the main body is not samurai, but gangsters. With the beginning of the war, many Wano country gangsters who had calmed down began to take advantage of the fire. Many wealthy businessmen were robbed, but those did not satisfy them. The richest group in Wano country is undoubtedly the beast's pirates. They did not dare to enter the flower city, but set their sights on the beast's Pokemon Center, and here, they experienced the horror of the Pink Devil. Chapter 303, Pink Demons Group Battle and Director Blastoise. Those hooligans were originally rebels, and they usually bullied the villagers. Taking advantage of the war, they naturally launched a $0 shopping campaign. Originally, there were pirates stationed in the Pokemon Center, but as the pirates communicated with each other, news of an accident in Yamato spread. There was no situation here, so these pirates made the move to rescue their own young lady, and soon after they left, the hooligans who gradually gathered also set their sights on this place. Those doctors should have a lot of money. I think so. It costs a few silvers to go in and ask a few questions. Those guys must have a lot of money in their hands. And those nurses. He didn't say anything, but his wretched expression and posture had already explained his meaning. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. Many people have suffered in that mine. Let's take it all back today. After confirming that the pirate team had really left, hundreds of hooligans rushed towards the Pokemon Center. When the nurse on duty at the door saw the crowd rushing over, she instinctively pressed the button under the table. Since they came here, they have conducted some drills, but they didn't expect that they would actually use them now. Click, click. The sound of mechanical gears turning rang out, and the originally transparent windows were now covered by metal baffles. The Beast Pokemon Center, which was originally a hospital, has now become a fortress. This was also the purpose of the construction of this building, and this design has played its role at this time. At the same time, the alarm bells of the Pokemon Center rang loudly, and both nurses, doctors and hospitalized patients were awakened by the bells. However, there is still a problem now. Most of the pirates have left, and only a small number of people are left here, which means that their defense range is not very sufficient. It is not a problem to just guard the Pokemon Center, but when those people found that they could not break the defense here, they turned to run to the family area at the back. The defense level there is much worse than here, and because of immigration, the families of nurses and doctors are now living there. After seeing this situation from Rotom's image, they could not sit still in a safe position. Dr. Toddler, where are you going? My parents live over there. Where do you think I'm going? Don't you guys live over there too? Do you just want to watch? Toddler said to them, and then began to look for something to arm himself in the hospital. A killer may not be able to be a doctor, but for these experienced doctors, as long as they are given the opportunity, they can kill people much faster than saving people. The scalpel and the mop were temporarily combined together. In terms of sharpness, the scalpel is much stronger than ordinary knives. Except for the old professors, the young medical staff were almost gathered together, but when they were about to open the door and rush out, they found that the situation outside was different from what they thought. After they came here, they spent a long time with the Pokemon. In their eyes, Pokemon may be just a reliable medical assistant, but Pokemon is also a good hand in combat. In the world of Pokemon, whether it is the ancient battlefield or the modern special operations, the role that Pokemon can play is far beyond ordinary weapons. While they were still preparing, the Pokemon had already left here. Under the night sky, the flower therapy earrings flew in the air, dropping seeds one by one, and grass began to grow on the ground below. Where did all the grass come from? Thug hadn't figured out why this place suddenly turned into a grassland, but the plants on the ground suddenly connected together, tripping them to the ground like a tripwire. At first, it was a green grass field, and the flower therapy earrings worked together to use field skills to increase the power of grass skills. After that, they used grass knots, and many thugs were tripped to the ground under the effect of grass knots. Although they are now acting as a team, they are all competitors when it comes to grabbing things. In order to grab more things, their formation is very dense, which caused a stampede when they tripped. And this is not over yet. The seeds scattered by the flower therapy rings also include parasitic seeds. Some thugs who fell to the ground were tied together by vines, grown from parasitic seeds, and their physical strength was constantly deprived. It's those things up there. Shoot, shoot. Guns can also be found in Wano country, but these guns are much less accurate than those in the weapons factory, so after a burst of gunfire, the flower therapy rings only flew higher. After the harassment of the flower therapy rings, a mixed force composed of Jigglypuff and almost dolls also appeared. Their targets were much larger, but these hooligans still failed to cause effective damage. The defensive barrier held up by Jigglypuff formed the front line of defense. Those attacks were blocked by their defense, and then the almost dolls brewed the secret power in their hands. Depending on the release site, the secret power will also cause different effects. At this time, in the grass formed by the green grass field, the performance of the secret power is like an attack like a magic leaf. Before the attack of the almost dolls is over, the Jigglypuffs also have the next move. The substitutes were released by them and rushed forward actively, but their real bodies quietly hid behind the substitutes after shrinking. After reaching their feet, Jigglypuff directly hit their toes. It hurts. Something bit my foot. Me too. Damn, what are these things here? Although they were reduced in size, their strength was not reduced. Moreover, the people of Wano country generally wore wooden clogs without any protection. Most of them had their toes smashed and groaned in pain. Moreover, turning round and rolling is not only the privilege of Milky Can, but also the Chansey Egg can do it. Their bodies tore through the opponent's line like bowling balls. Under the attack of the Pokémons, this group of hooligans fell into chaos. But things are far more than that. Next to the Pokémon Center is the Squirtle Fire Department. They can not only put out fires, but also fight. Kami. Although the captains of the fire department are two squirrels, there is also a Blastoise acting as the director. At this time, it moved its feet and came here, and the two huge gun barrels behind it were pointed at them. Kami. Jenny. Under the lead of Blastoise, a large amount of water flow rushed towards those people. What Squirtle sprayed was still a simple high pressure water flow, while the barrel of Blastoise was boiling hot water. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304. If nothing unexpected happens, an accident will happen soon. As the final evolution of Squirtle, Blastoise is far superior to Squirtle in all aspects. The two water cannons on its back have a wide shooting range and great power, and can even shoot through iron plates. Coupled with the water temperature that is close to boiling point, the damage caused by Blastoise is extremely terrible. High pressure water guns can be used to suppress riots, and the hot water released by Blastoise has given them a severe lesson. Although there are no pirate guards, the existence of these Pokémon coalitions has also prevented the hospital and family areas from being harassed by gangsters. Similar scenes not only happened here at the Pokémon Center, but also at the farms in Kiri and the cotton planting base in Heim. In Kiri, Kintaro's family also saw the rolling milkman knocking people to pieces. Since the vegetable thieves of Inarashi and Cat VIP, the milkmen seem to have more skilled experience in this. Heim's cotton planting base is relatively harmonious, which is due to the Pokémon race. The combat power of the Pokémon here is relatively low, but the cotton of White Buff and Wind Fairy has become the biggest obstacle in their progress, and the flying shuttlecock cotton in the sky is waving its own powder. Poison powder, paralysis powder, sleep powder, and powder attacks are mixed in the air and enter the bodies of those people below with their breathing, making them eventually lose the ability to resist and fight. The battles here are all unorganized riots, and they soon stopped under strong suppression, but there are still some organized behaviors in other places. Hospitals and plantations are mostly livelihood institutions, and a large number of civilians from Wano country live in them. Those gangsters are greedy for the huge profits and want to rob here. As for whether they can really rob what they need, they are not very clear. After all, there are stupid thieves everywhere. There are also many people who robbed mobile phone stores and found that they robbed all models. But the organizers will not do this. Their target is still the main station of the beasts. They still know how many pirates there are in Wano country. Now most of the pirates are in the Flower City, which gives them a new goal. There is a special place in Wano country now, where the beasts do not have enough manpower, and the people inside have no good feelings towards the beasts pirates. But there is a very important place, Rabbit Bowl Quarry. Rabbit Bowl Quarry has long been transformed by the beasts into a prison-like existence, where a large number of gangsters and labor reform are imprisoned, and some pirates who failed in the battle outside are imprisoned here to minor. If this place can be broken, these pirates originally imprisoned by the beasts will undoubtedly cause a huge impact on the beasts. Although they may not obey the command, they are all enemies of the beasts. In order to curb the powerful military force of the beasts, Orochioni Wabanshu and some people came to Rabbit Bowl Quarry. Orochioni Wabanshu is a direct unit of the Shogun of Wano country. In name, the leader of this team should be Kazuki Oden. However, after Kurozumi Orochi obtained the position of acting general, this team chose to surrender to Kurozumi Orochi, which also caused one of the team members, Xiaonin, to withdraw from the team and become a rebel ninja in Wano country. Except for Fukurakuju, everyone else was sent by Orochi. He thought that with Kazuki Oden and Kurozumi Chanmaru around, his safety would be fine, but the facts taught him a painful lesson. In the Rabbit Bowl Quarry, the pirates of the beasts are still guarding here. Even though most of the pirates from Onigashima have entered the Flower City, the pirates of Rabbit Bowl have not decreased, and Babanuki has been guarding here. There are only 100 pirates here. Although the number is not large, they usually face prisoners in shackles, and there are other pirates nearby to support them, so they have enough manpower. However, the battle tonight has left them isolated and helpless. Come on. Tonight is a critical night. Governor Kaido has promised us a 7-day holiday. Someone will take over tomorrow. The prisoners were taken back to the cell. It stands to reason that they are very safe here, but if nothing unexpected happens, an accident will soon happen at this time. The searchlight found the traces of the intruder, but Babanuki did not panic. The Rabbit Bowl Quarry was a large pit dug out of the exposed mountain, surrounded by steep rock walls, with only one entrance and exit. As long as they guarded this gate, outsiders would never be able to get in, but he underestimated those so-called Wano country ninjas, and they actually climbed in with the feint of those people outside. Although most of those ninjas relied on some strange props to complete their so-called ninjutsu, they did have much more training than ordinary people. They might not be as good as samurai in frontal combat, but they were very good at sneak attacks. Although they successfully sneaked into the Rabbit Bowl Quarry, what happened next was beyond their expectations. As ninjas, they were very good at unlocking, and it didn't take them long to pry open the doors of several prisons. But before they could be happy, an alarm sounded in the quarry, and at the same time, several round objects rolled down the hillside. Several boulders were thrown by them, and Onyx had long been sent underground to the Red Earth continent. The area of Wano country was not suitable for their growth, but the Geodudes still lived here. When they found that something was wrong below, they took the lead in attacking. The prisoners who were released were still shackled, and could not help at all. The responsibility of dealing with these Geodudes fell on the ninjas of the Oniwa Banshu. After dodging the stones thrown by the Geodudes, these ninjas inevitably had questions. What the hell are those? Are there all these monsters under the beast pirates? As Orochi's confidants, they had seen other Pokémon, but these rock-type Pokémon in the quarry were the first to be seen. Other Pokémon had animal or plant characteristics on their bodies, but it was different here. Geodudes had almost no animal characteristics, except that they could move. Monsters were the only conclusion they could draw. You guys go on, and release the prisoners. Leave this to us. The alarm here will soon attract the attention of the pirates. Although they are not many in number, the pirates rushing over will easily cause the mission to fail. They must release more prisoners before the other party reacts. Ninjutsu, Helpipa. A woman said as she launched an attack on the little Geodude. Although the attack sounds very noble, it is actually just a machine gun hidden in the pippa. When the bullets hit the little Geodude's body, several little Geodudes looked at each other and then scratched their heads in confusion. Chapter 305 What made you think I was afraid of Seaston? The bodies of the small Geodudes are originally made of rocks. These Geodudes formed by the special environment of Wano country have Seaston in their bodies. As one of the hardest substances, ordinary attacks cannot hurt them at all. The bullets did not hurt them at all, just like being sprinkled with soybeans. Scraping can still make people feel pain, but the so-called Helpipa is not even as good as scraping. In order to enhance the concealment of the weapons, the Oniwa Banshu named Jigo Kitten hid the guns in the pippa, and the pippa can still be played normally, which affected the power of the guns. Although the firing rate and bullet capacity are attained, the damage of the bullets is really touching, which is much worse than ordinary guns. Even the mortality rate against ordinary people is relatively low. Hitting the Seaston body of the Geodudes looks humble, and these Geodudes have sharp edges and corners, which is a sign of youth for the Geodudes race. Most young Geodudes have a bad temper. Although it doesn't hurt, it's not good to be hit in the face with beans. In addition, these people triggered the alarm, so several Geodudes naturally fought back. There was no fancy attack. The leading Geodude clapped his hands on the ground to give himself the power to charge. The clap was just a single violent impact, but the angular body of Seaston could cause great harm to people. Geodude didn't distinguish between men and women. Although Jigoku Benton was a woman, she was not as attractive to Geodude as a stone. The other Geodudes were not idle either. A group of prisoners had just walked out of the prison on the rock wall, and they were forced back by Geodude with a rockfall. Looking at the gap left, the prisoners suddenly lost the courage to resist. Because if Geodude had another rockfall, they would all be buried alive. They didn't understand what Geodude said, but the threat was obvious. The alarm here naturally reached Babanuke's ears at the door. It's bad. You guys guard this place. You guys come with me. It will be really troublesome if those guys escape. Those people attacked for a long time, but couldn't get close to the gate of Rabbit Bowl. There were no strong people there. If it was just a competition of firepower, he would be the same, no matter where he was. But there were some powerful pirates among the prisoners in the prison. Letting them all escape would have the greatest impact. Fortunately, he always carried the key with him, so he was not afraid of too many people escaping. Because of the powerful processing technology, even the lock core of the Seaston handcuffs in Wano country was made of Seaston. The hard lock core made it a big project to pry them open. In addition to the obstruction of the small fist stones, only more than 100 people escaped, and only a dozen people were opened. Kill them. It seems that a large group of laborers are destined to be lost today, but according to Babanuke's estimation, the number of people here will be filled again in a few days. Today's group of people is just used to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. That guy is the warden. The key is in his hand. Seeing Babanuke rushing over, a prisoner shouted excitedly. They didn't want to keep mining here. Even if they had a prison term, they wanted to leave here as soon as possible. Tonight was the best opportunity. Hearing this, both the prisoners whose handcuffs were opened and the Oniwa Banshu looked at Babanuke. The Oniwa Banshu wanted to release more prisoners, and the pirate prisoners knew that such a small number of people was not enough for the beast pirates, so they also wanted to release some people. They temporarily formed a united front and looked in the direction of Babanuke. However, the first thing they had to face was the baptism of gunfire. Those people were holding large caliber miniature machine guns in their hands, and the dense bullets formed an airtight firepower network. They were not small fist stones. Only a few people could withstand such a rain of bullets. Then the ninjas took out some strange things from their arms. Ninjutsu, smoke release technique. A large amount of thick smoke filled the open space in the quarry. Although it was called the smoke release technique, in fact, it was just a special smoke bomb. Using the smoke bomb to charge was their only chance to get close to the enemy. A large amount of smoke blocked the vision. Although the pirates were still shooting, the hit rate dropped significantly without vision. The boulders mined in the mine also became a cover for these people. In the end, those people rushed to their side. Babanuke heard the sound of chains. A chain was thrown out and then wrapped around his arm. Ha 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 ha, you are a capable person, right? Taste your own Seaston chains. Most of these prisoners have a certain understanding of Babanuke's abilities, and there are a large number of Seaston products here. This is a chain made of their Seaston handcuffs. Due to the abundant funds, even ordinary people use Seaston handcuffs. You'll reap what you sow, you beast bastard. I'll definitely take off Kaido's head. A pirate laughed wildly and raised his knife to chop at Babanuke's neck, but was caught by a gorilla's arm in midair. With your two tricks, you still want to challenge Kaido? Too naive, idiot. No, it's impossible. You are obviously a capable person, but you are locked by Seaston. How can you still use your abilities? Seeing Babanuke complete his transformation with Seaston chains wrapped around his body, the pirate's expression became extremely wonderful. This situation has disrupted his common sense. Who gave you the illusion that I'm afraid of Seaston? Babanuke hit the opponent with a headbutt. Although the King of Leave has the characteristic of laziness, this characteristic allows their bodies to accumulate huge power. The same is true for Babanuke, who has obtained the power of the King of Leave. Although his attack frequency is very low, and he even has to use the gun switching mode to ensure his mobility, the power of each of his attacks is very strong. The pirate who was so arrogant just now has completely stopped moving under his headbutt. He grabbed the chain with one hand after removing his ability. Even without the transformation and super strength, he still has terrifying super strength. I'm a person who has received perfect power from Lord Arceus. Perfect power does not come from devil fruit, but from the grace of God. Seaston has never been our weakness. Then he grabbed the chain with his other hand. The Seaston chain that was originally intended to be used to restrain him has now become his weapon. As he swung his super strength, a series of screams came out in the smoke. Chapter 306 The Light of Evolution. There were no one of their own in there, so they just needed to attack indiscriminately. The smoke bomb blocked the vision of the members of the Beast's pirates, and also blocked the vision of the prisoners. The wanton swinging of the Seaston chains brought them a devastating blow, but things were not all smooth sailing. Some prisoners came to them under the cover of the smoke. Seeing that the Seaston had no effect on Babanuki, the ninjas of the Oniwa Banshu also used various strange techniques to entangle Babanuki. Shurikens, kunai, bullets, and various throwing props flew out of the smoke. Moreover, there were some strong ones among the pirate prisoners, which made Babanuki unable to get away for a while, and the rest could only face the approaching pirates alone. No new prisoners escaped under the attack of the small fist stone, but the approaching pirates also forced the Beast's pirates to draw the knives on their waists. Although the power of the minigun was far greater than that of ordinary rifles, they had no time to turn around after being approached from behind. The most primitive flesh and blood fight took place here. The Beasts are not an invincible pirate group, otherwise they would have dominated the world long ago. In the melee, a pirate from the Beasts fell in a pool of blood. The two long swords stuck in his chest and abdomen made him lose the ability to move. Those were the weapons brought in by the Oniwa Banshu, and it was these weapons that armed the prisoner pirates. The enemy in front of him was about to give him a fatal blow, but a black shadow rushed out of the smoke. It looked small, but it ran like a heavy tank, and even the ground shook. There was no roar, but the black shadow knocked the enemy in front of it. This was Kadora living in the mine. In 2 years, he had completed his evolution. He was no longer a large ant like Kadora, but a giant lizard like Kadora. The tail was very short, but the steel armor on his body was also thicker. This Kadora was very sleepy. The alarm just now couldn't wake it up. It was still the smoke bombs released by the Oniwa Banshu that choked it awake. The pirate who fell to the ground had another identity, Kadora's breeder. When it was still Kadora, he had the best relationship with Kadora, and this relationship did not change, even after it evolved into Kadora. Even the vicious Gyarados can retain its original emotions after evolution. As long as humans invest enough, Pokemon will naturally return their sincerity. It can evolve so quickly thanks to the food supply in the mine. Most of the minerals in the mine are exported or used by themselves. In addition, Kadora's appetite is getting bigger and bigger, so Onyx will go to dig caves under the Red Earth continent. It's not just about raising them, but also looking for new rare mineral veins and some information on stone tablets. After knocking the enemy away, it did not participate in the battle, but stood beside the injured pirate. Although it has some long-range attack skills, the battle has become chaotic when the prisoner pirates rushed into the side of the beast pirates through the smoke, and random attacks may accidentally injure friendly forces. Kadora's voice was very low, and it was almost impossible to tell what he was saying, but the injured pirate could understand what he meant. Don't worry, this injury won't kill you. I haven't seen Kaido become the Pirate King yet. Although Kaido hadn't expressed this intention at this time, the pirates of the beasts believed that this great treasure must belong to their governor. In the smoke, there was also a roar of machinery. Kadora turned his heavy body and looked over there. His intuition told him that it was very dangerous there. As the sound got closer, a pirate with a body comparable to Babanuki rushed out from inside. However, the prison uniform on his body showed that he was not a member of the beasts. At this time, his hands had turned into a huge drill, which was stained with blood. You broke my dream of becoming the Pirate King, and made me dig for so long here. You beasts, go to hell. He was a pirate who went to sea shortly after Roger's death 3 years ago. Although his bounty was only 90 million, and did not reach the level of a supernova, he still arrived in Shampoo as a supernova. However, he challenged the territory of the beast's pirates shortly after arriving in the New World. The result is obvious. He was sent here to mine. The drill bit rotating in both hands is his ability. He is a superhuman diamond drill fruit ability user. This ability is actually very suitable for his identity as a miner, but he can't use his ability when digging Seaston mines with Seaston handcuffs. Sometimes he would be detained to dig for iron ore. His ability was still very useful at that time. He was a very good laborer. In order to make him work better, Babanuki gave him more food. Now it seems that this is actually a mistake. The pirates on the ground caught his attention, and the drill in his hand continued to rotate. You are also a member of the beasts, right? I'll send you to death right now. The blade that was inserted into his body had already been inserted into the ground. He naturally had no way to dodge it. Looking at the drill head swinging towards him, he could only close his eyes in despair, but in the end he felt no pain, only some metal sparks sprinkled on him. Kadora's body was shining with a metallic luster and he ran into the opponent's drill head on. The metal shell that was fused with the components of ferromagnetic acid was extremely hard. Although a lot of sparks were generated at the friction, Kadora was firmly nailed in front of the injured person with the blessing of the iron wall. The blue eyes under the armor stared at the opponent intently. It was protecting its breeder. Where did the beast come from? Are you qualified to stop Master Elzak? The drill head in the other hand also drilled towards Kadora, and the attack position chose the hole in Kadora's armor, which was the weak point on Kadora's body. Kadora howled in pain, then pounced forward, its short claws shining with metallic luster, and it grabbed the opponent with a metal claw. The characteristic of this Kadora is heavy metal, which has the effect of doubling its own weight. In the end, the man and the beast re-entered the smoke. Sparks could be seen in the smoke from time to time, and the sound of metal friction could be heard in their ears. This battle lasted for a long time. As the smoke gradually dissipated, the situation in the quarry was revealed again. Babanuki was still fighting, but he couldn't free his hands in a short time. The situation of others and Geodude was similar. Kadora's situation was not very good. Several years of mining life seemed to have trained him, and Kadora was no match for him now. But when he thought he had defeated the monster and was about to attack the pirates of the 100 Beasts, a dazzling white light appeared behind him. Chapter 307, The Raging Heavy Tanks. Roar. A slightly low roar came from Kadora's mouth, and the pure white luster gradually enveloped its body. The low figure gradually rose, and the original lizard posture gradually changed into the appearance of a dinosaur. As the light dissipated, a giant beast standing on 2 feet appeared in front of him. Hey. The iron armor Pokemon Boskdola, Kadora's final evolution. In the world of pirates, domineering is a kind of idealistic power, and the evolution of Pokemon is also related to the heart. When their physical conditions basically meet the conditions, the power of the heart can make the evolution happen in advance. In order to achieve its goal, Kadora evolved. Boskdola's whole body is wrapped in hard armor. A sharp corner extends outward from the forehead of the head. There are 2 sets of paired holes on the forehead, and 2 long sharp corners extend from the 2 holes in front. The upper and lower jaws are made of silver white metal, and sharp tooth-like protrusions are exposed at the corners of the mouth. The limbs are all covered with silver steel rings to enhance their defense, and the forelimbs have become thick arms. The short round tail also turned into a thick and long black tail. As it was consuming more and more iron ore, the silver white armor had red cloud patterns, which made the Boskadora more terrifying. The height of ordinary Boskadora was about 2 meters, but this Boskadora had sufficient food. The high quality iron ore made it stronger. Even the size after evolution was more than twice that of ordinary Boskadora. In addition to its heavy metal characteristics, it had stepped on the ground and left 2 deep footprints. Boom. Boom. The collision of the 2 fists made a metallic roar, and Boskadora rushed towards Arzak. It was the first time Arzak had seen the evolution of Pokemon. This huge change made him unable to understand for a while, but he knew that he was in big trouble. It took him a lot of effort to deal with the lizard monster just now. Now the lizard monster has become a dinosaur monster. Whether in size or appearance, Boskadora gives people a much more terrifying feeling than Kadora. Arzak used the same trick again, and stabbed the drill in his hand towards the hole next to Boskadora's eyes. He had already discovered that the air vents on Boskadora's body were almost its only weakness. But unlike just now, Boskadora now had 2 hands. 3 claws were wrapped in metallic light, and Boscadora used metal claws on both hands at the same time, and one claw knocked away Arzak's drill, and Boscadora directly hit it with his body. He was wrapped in steel armor, and was like a heavy tank. Arzak suffered a great loss in the collision. He had not yet understood the seriousness of the situation, and his drill-like hands continued to stab Boscadora. Boscadora did not dodge or block, but directly grabbed Arzak's drill, and a large number of sparks burst out of his hands. Under the pressure of the power in Boscadora's hands, his drill stopped turning. What? It's not that he didn't want to continue spinning, but Boscadora's power made it impossible for him to continue spinning. Then, in his incredible eyes, Boscadora directly lifted him up. Hey! After Boscadora threw him into the air, his bulky body actually jumped up, and his thick and long tail shone with a metallic luster. With a hit of the iron tail, he flew out like hitting a baseball. To make matters worse, he was hit by Boscadora on a pile of stones, and these stones were the raw ore of Seaston mined from the ground, which made him lose strength all of a sudden. Before he could climb out, Boscadora's destructive death ray had already condensed, and the deadly ray shot towards him. He was thrown on the raw ore of Seaston, and had no power to dodge. Even though Boscadora's physical attack was much higher than its special attack, the destructive death ray it released also punched a big hole in his chest. After dealing with Arzak, Boscadora did not stop. It knew that only by ending the battle would others have time to heal its breeder. With a run-up, Boscadora's huge body began to attack the Oniwa Banshu ninjas and prisoner pirates. The steel-type skill heavy impact, the higher its own weight is than the enemy, the higher the damage caused. With its huge weight and the characteristics of heavy metal, Boscadora has unleashed its potential as a war machine. The weapons of those ninjas can still deal with humans, but they have no way to deal with Boscadora, who is wrapped in special alloys. Now Boscadora is a heavy tank that has entered the ancient battlefield of Japan. The enemy has no other choice but to escape. Neither Kunai nor Shuriken have any effect. If ordinary people cannot comprehend the skill of cutting iron, they don't even have the chance to scrape Boscadora. The evolved Boscadora further reversed the situation at the Rabbit Bowl Quarry, and the jailbreak was quickly ended. Similar situations not only happened here. In addition to the Rabbit Bowl mining field, Onigashima is the base camp of the Beast Pirates, and the samurai are the leaders there. The elite of all beasts gathered in the flower capital. The guards of Onigashima were empty. The samurai saw this as an opportunity. Instead of rowing boats, they chose to swim across. Several teams of samurai landed on Onigashima with only samurai swords. They did not see any pirates here. The entire Onigashima seemed to be empty, but they saw a yellow creature. The electric shock beast and the power room had been waiting for them here for a long time. Zizzy. A burst of electricity flashed across the body of the electric shock beast, and then these people soaked in seawater felt the power of 100,000 volts. These samurai naturally did not land in one place, so it was inevitable that some of them slipped through the net and successfully approached the buildings of Onigashima. Rotom did not attack, but took the initiative to open the door, and a slightly old woman walked out from inside. Hey, old woman, get out of the way quickly, this is not the place for you. Yeah. Even though I didn't join them, this is also where I work. I can't let you come here to make trouble. Nakin, former cadre of the Walled Pirates, now employed by the Beast's Pirates as a Chinese herbal medicine expert. Although she looks a little old, she is the one who has fought with the Empress in fists and feet after she regained her youth with the help of drugs at the age of 80, and she is also a strong one among female pirates. And didn't your mother teach you to respect women's age? Chinese herbal medicine boxing, clove kick. Without even using the secret method of rejuvenation, Nakin rushed towards the group of warriors alone. Although she was a ship doctor, she was also a martial artist when she was on the walled ship. Chapter 308, The Secret Sword Swallow returns. Walled cadres were relatively rare among the pirates at that time. His brother was a think tank with no combat power. As one of the few cadres, Nakin naturally had to play her due role. Although she is 60 years old, her body is still agile, and her body has not shrunk yet. Every blow can knock down a samurai. The different experiences of characters will affect people's old age. Whether old age will turn into a hunched old lady, a fat house who drinks and smokes, or an old man or woman who is still energetic is closely related to the living conditions. Unlike the original timeline, Nakin has been hiding and waiting for Wall to come back. Now she at least has a stable and high-paying job, which makes her life much better than before. Chinese herbal medicine, boxing, licorice spin. Even if Onegashima's defenses are empty, these samurai who don't even have a decent leader can't handle it. In addition to Electabuzz and Nakin, they still have to face a large number of Rotom. Whether it's the separated Rotom bodies flying in the air, or the Rotom operating mechanical bodies such as ovens and refrigerators, they are not something that ordinary samurai can deal with. Soon, countless samurai appeared in the inland sea of Wano country. The powerful voltage released by Electabuzz and Rotom made these samurai with seawater on their bodies experience what it means to be an electric fish, but they were the ones who were electrocuted. Of course, not everyone was involved in this battle. As the boss of the flower capital underworld, Higoro did not participate. Naturally, such a big commotion in the flower capital was transmitted to his residents. The reason he didn't show up was that he was stopped by someone. Kajiro, what do you mean? Kajiro suddenly brought King Yanwu to Bingoro's residence, and King Yanwu's huge body directly blocked the door to the outside. Sir Bingoro, I still respect you very much, but what's going on outside now is the political struggle of the upper class. You are an ordinary person after all, so it's better not to wade into this muddy water. Besides, you don't want to make your mother-in-law sad, do you? During their daily interactions, Kajiro has been taken care of by Hyagoro's wife many times, and that kind of care is just like the care his mother gave him in the past. As the royal merchant of the beasts pirates in Wano country, he has some understanding of today's situation. Because he is a native of Wano country and has joined the beasts, he knows the difference in strength between the two sides. Whoever gets involved in this situation will be courting his own destruction. Hyagoro and his wife have a deep relationship. If Hyagoro dies, his wife will definitely be sad, so she came to stop Hyagoro from intervening in this matter. As long as tonight is over, Hyagoro will not have the ability to stir up a huge conflict. As a gang boss, his attitude towards the generals and daimyo class of Wano country is different from that of ordinary people. Otherwise he would not have become a gang boss. He pays more attention to the civilians of the flower capital. Now the beast's flexible policy makes his resistance to the beasts not so strong. Otherwise he would not have reached a certain degree of consensus with Kajiro. Kirizumi Orochi also had no chance to kill his wife with the help of the beasts. He and the beasts have no fundamental contradictions. Get out of the way. The people of Flower City are in such a situation. Don't worry about it. My people are trying to comfort them. As long as tonight is over, there will be no impact. And if you go out now, it will only cause more trouble. The later this battle ends, the greater the damage will be. You can't stop me, even if you bring that big guy with you. The sturdy Bingwul Lang is not the shriveled old man. Now his fighting power is at its peak. King Yanwu can stop his men, but he can't stop him. Of course, so I'm here to propose conditions. The people of Flower City respect you as a knight. My father was also taken care of by you in the past, so I want to challenge you as a samurai. As long as you block my attack, I will no longer stop you. But if you can't stop it, you will stay here quietly tonight. Is this condition not too much? Hyagoro is well known among the common people in Flower Capital. He is different from those daimyo and generals. Many people have never seen what a daimyo looks like in their entire lives, but they are very familiar with Hyagoro. The beasts pirates cleaned up the existing aristocracy, with the exception of people like Hyagoro. For this kind of people, the main policy is to win them over. Kajiro also volunteered, otherwise the beasts would have been able to allocate a Kada to solve the problem here. Hyagoro then noticed that Kajiro came with a knife this time. He usually appeared as a businessman, and this was the first time that Hyagoro saw him carrying a weapon. Okay, come on, hurry up. Chivalry alone would not have gotten you to where you are today. Although he was very friendly to the common people, he fought hard to become the gangster boss of Flower Capital, and he didn't think Kajiro would be his opponent. He even urged Kajiro to start quickly. I understand, but please wait a moment. Doctor, are all the preparations ready? He asked behind him. This time he actually brought a doctor with him. After getting a positive answer, Kojiro stuffed something into his mouth. It was a secret medicine he got from Nakin that could temporarily stimulate the body's potential. Then Kojiro made a standard IAI posture. Hyagoro looked at the knife in Kojiro's hand. Compared with most weapons made by craftsmen, Kojiro's knife seemed to be longer. IAI. It seems that you have practiced for a while. Kojiro didn't say anything, and Hyagoro looked at him squarely, because there was a kind of belief in Kojiro's eyes, and that was not something that ordinary people could possess. Then Hyagoro set his eyes on Kojiro's wrist. If it was just one blow, staring at the wrist would be enough to react. Kojiro held the knife in his backhand, and the moment the blade came out of the body, there was a sharp sound. Hyagoro easily blocked Kojiro's attack, but he found the problem as soon as the blade touched him. Although Kojiro seemed to have only attacked once, he swung the knife more than once. Although he blocked the second knife, the third knife left a bloody mark on his shoulder. Sasaki family swordsmanship, secret sword swallow return. Hiss, it hurts. Doctor, come here quickly, my arm seems to be broken. His doctor did not prepare it for Hyagoro, but for himself. Although his family fell into decline, the move swallow return was passed down intact. The records are not wrong, but no one in his family can reach the level of their ancestors, so they have never been able to practice it. Kojiro was able to use it thanks to Kaido's guidance. Chapter 309, Enchanted Weapons and Post-Battle Physical Examination. If Kojiro's father had found an excellent swordsman to guide him, he would have naturally discovered the problem in the move, but he didn't. This family inherited move was also a secret in Kojiro's family. But they didn't know the tricks of practicing hard, so they naturally couldn't practice it. So Kojiro made a different decision. During the training, he asked Jin to look at the record, but Jin didn't understand it. He could see that this move seemed to have its own secrets, so he passed it to Kaido. At Kaido's level, even if his weapon is a mace, he can see a little bit of the way to swordsmanship. As a reward for Kojiro's surrender, Kaido personally guided him once. However, Kaido only helped them overcome the problem of training. This move requires a high level of physical fitness. Kojiro can't use it now, and physical training can't be completed overnight, so he asked Nakin for some secret medicine. In fact, the enhancer in Quinn's hand was more effective, but Kojiro still chose Nakin. Even Quinn's enhancer himself couldn't tell what the side effects were. The risk was too great. In comparison, Nakin's Chinese medicine was more reliable. However, the result was also obvious. Although he used the sword with the help of the drug, the side effects caused his arm to be seriously injured. The doctor has already started to treat it on the spot. Mr. Kojiro, there is nothing wrong with the bones. It's just dislocated, and there is also a serious muscle tear. You have to rest your hand for a while. The doctor made a judgment after a simple diagnosis. At the same time, there was another cry of pain from Kojiro. The joint reduction made him suffer a lot. Then the doctor wanted to treat the wound for Hyagoro. I'm fine, you don't have to worry about me. The wound on Hyagoro's shoulder was not very serious. At first, he did not use haki, but when he found something wrong, he immediately used the armed color, so the shoulder was only a skin injury. Mr. Hyagoro, you'd better take care of it. Mr. Kojiro's knife seems to be rusted. After the blow, Kojiro's knife fell off. As a samurai, this is naturally unqualified, but he is now at most a half-baked samurai. Hyagoro also has many subordinates, and these gangsters all worship the strong. Kojiro was able to hurt Hyagoro, which made them more recognized of him, but when they picked up Kojiro's knife, their expressions inevitably twitched a few times. Rusted. Ahem. This is my ancestral knife in my warehouse. It may be not well kept. Facing Hyagoro's unbelievable expression, Kojiro gave an explanation, but he also doubted his life a little, because he had already polished it. Under the threat of the enchanted weapon, Hyagoro still chose to accept the debridement treatment. Although the medicine in Wano country is very backward, it is not that they don't know anything. It's just that tetanus is called the curse of weapons here. You win. I'm not going anywhere tonight. But you, little brat, your knife is rusty. Although Bingoro used some swear words, people who were familiar with him knew that he approved of the other party's performance. I'm just a businessman after all. A businessman cannot swing that sword. Is Sasuke the same Sasuke? The man who was born in the same era as the swordsman Ryoma. I didn't expect he actually has descendants. If the family tree is correct, it should be him. Your one sword is actually 3 swords, right? Swallows can withstand the wind and dodge the blade, and it has nothing to do with whether it is fast or slow. No matter what kind of sword it is, it can't swing without vibrating the air. They change the direction of flight by sensing the vibration of the air. Therefore, no matter what kind of attack it is, it can't cut down a swallow. The sword is just a line. It makes sense that you can't catch a swallow flying back and forth in the air. Then, just surround its retreat. One sword attacks the swallow, and the other sword blocks the retreat of the swallow that dodges with the wind. But they are very sensitive, and this long sword can't catch up with the second sword. To succeed, the 2 swords must be carried out almost simultaneously in an instant. If they are all at the same time, the 2 swords will be too slow anyway. For this reason, there should also be a 3rd sword to block the side retreat. Kojiro talked about the description of Yanfan in the records. The 3 instant sword strikes are the essence of Yanfan. This is a quick sword move. The first 2 moves are to block the enemy's evasion and blocking, and the 3rd sword is the final killing move, as expected of a famous swordsman in the past. No, he should have walked the path of a great swordsman. Boy, practice more. It would be a great sin if this unique skill is lost in your hands. Looking at Kojiro's arm that was scrapped by a single blow, Hyagoro sighed. Thunder Bagua. In the flower capital, Yamato knocked down the last samurai with a stick. Most of the samurai in Wano country did not have armor, which was not something that ordinary samurai could afford. Those who wore armor were basically those nobles, which also allowed the people of the beasts to better identify who was the leader. Those exquisite armors had a high degree of defense against the swords of ordinary pirates, but when they encountered blunt weapons such as maces, the role of armor was greatly reduced. Whether it was samurai or thugs, most of the enemies in Flower City had been eliminated. Gather all the defeated samurai. Don't let these guys continue to make trouble. Mandafesh issued orders to the pirates around him. The high-ranking officers in the Beast's pirates could directly take over the command. Now, except for the disaster level officers, his position in the Beast's pirates was very high. The identity of the chief of the scout force was enough for him to command these ordinary pirates. Send the seriously injured to the Pokemon Center, and deal with the lightly injured yourself tomorrow, leaving some rest time for the doctors. Wait, Uncle Mandafesh, send them over as well. Yamato made suggestions to Mandafesh when he was arranging the wounded. In addition to the combatants on both sides, the battle in Flower City caused a lot of bad luck to the civilians living in Flower City. Don't worry, Miss Yamato, someone will come to take care of them. Look, they're here. Mandafesh pointed to one side. There was a person with the Kojiro Chamber of Commerce logo. This was also the mission of the Kojiro Chamber of Commerce. At this time, there was also a banner of the beast next to the logo of their Chamber of Commerce. This was a good opportunity to improve their favorability. Really? Of course, you should go to the hospital too. Hospital? I'm not injured. I'm fine. Lord Arceus ordered that you must have a comprehensive physical examination after the battle. Please follow me. Chapter 310, Burning Odin Castle. According to Yamato's carefree personality, even if he really had an injury, it would not be discovered for a while, so several doctors there had already received orders to prepare a comprehensive physical examination for Yamato. Under the deterrence of Arceus's name, Yamato was honestly taken to the Pokemon Center for a physical examination, and so were Mariah and Jack. These new generation backbones have always been highly valued. However, when leaving, Yamato saw the fire still burning in the sky. Uncle Mandafesh, why is it still burning over there? Over there is Curie. Don't worry, Lord Zerora has gone over there. I believe the fire over there will be put out soon. Oh. Not long ago, when Kurizumi Orochi sent a signal, Kanjuro, who had been lurking around Kazuki Odin for many years, was dispatched. In order to anger Odin, Kurizumi Orochi chose to attack Kazuki Odin's family, and specially arranged some people to pretend to be members of the Beast's pirates to attack here. Except for some retainers he took away, Kanjuro, Korematsu, and Injiro stayed in Odin Castle. Although the sound of fighting broke out in the flower capital, nothing happened here. until Kanjuro temporarily left here for convenience. Under Odin Castle, he took out his Tsuji Shibe and began to paint. A Tsuji Shibe was Kanjuro's weapon. It looked like a knife, but the tip of the knife was a huge brush head. Kakaka, feel the anger of Kuritan. Kazuki's retainers only knew Kanjuro's name, but they didn't know that his surname was Kuritan. He came from a performing arts troupe of popular stage plays, and his acting skills were superb. Because of his surname Kuritan, Kanjuro was naturally affected by the rebellion of Kuritan Orochi's grandfather. After his parents died, Kuritan Kanjuro lost his heart and lived by interpreting others. So he had superb acting skills and was good at playing anyone, and he would only feel happy when he completely transformed into someone else. Kanjuro has almost become a demon in the aspect of acting. He has a strong hatred for the person who killed his parents, but he has no idea who the murderer is. When he heard that Orochi killed the person who murdered his parents, he was willing to follow Orochi to death, but the death of other people in the Kurozumi family was also related to Kurozumi Orochi himself. Kanjuro and Orochi have one thing in common: they are both crazy, and Orochi is crazy enough to hate everyone in Wano country, whether he is named Kurozumi or not. Kanjuro, who is undercover beside Odin, is very into the play and obeys Odin's words. As long as there is no order from Orochi, then Odin's order is absolute to him. But now he has received instructions from Orochi. The fruit ability is activated, and a ball of fire appears under Odin Castle. He is the ability user of the superhuman pen fruit. Simply put, he is a low-profile version of the magic brush Malayang. He can turn the things he draws into entities. Tsuji Shimoi is his medium for painting. If there is no brush, then his own hair can also be used as a brush. The appearance and ability of the things drawn will be proportional to the painting skills of the ability user. For Usopp's painting skills, this fruit is very suitable for him. However, the ability has two sides. Excellent ability can enhance the ability of painting, but if the picture drawn is too bad or too ugly, it will directly affect the ability and function of the things drawn. On weekdays, Kanjuro's paintings are ugly abstract paintings. Not only are they difficult to exert their true power, but they will also dissolve when they come into contact with water. The most practical thing is to draw some cabbage to fill his stomach. Due to the rules of the world, it is not allowed to draw cabbage badly here. But that was because he deliberately used his unskilled left hand to draw in order to hide his ability. Now he used his right hand, and a lifelike flame has been drawn by him. Kakaka, come out, his Enbo. Kanjuro laughed crazily. Burning Odin Castle was also a signal to those subordinates of Orochi, but his mission was just that. After that, he turned back to his original Kanjuro. No, it's bad. Madam Toki, someone is coming. They burned the house. Kanjuro now doesn't look like an undercover agent at all. He is just a loyal retainer. He just rushed into the sea of fire. Even his hair was burnt, but he didn't react. At the same time, he killed several people arranged by Orochi who had approached him a long time ago. He was not acting. He really killed his opponent. This drama lasted for a long time. Kurozumi Orochi sent a lot of people. For a while the three of them could only barely keep Kazuki Toki safe. After a while, Kikunojo and Reizo returned here with the unconscious Kinemon and the cats and dogs. Madam, Lord Odin died in the battle. Kikunojo cried and told what they saw. Madam, please pack your things quickly. We will take you away from here. It will be too late. Shouts and screams came from outside the door, but Kazuki Toki made a decision. You said, go to the future? Yes, that day will come eventually. You should wait 20 years in advance. Reizo, Kanjuro, Momonosuke and Kinemon will be left to you. In the end, she decided to let them go to the future. As the user of the Toki fruit, Kazuki Toki was originally an ancient person in the past, but she could only travel to the future, not the past. Madam, what about you and Princess Hiyori? We are not sure what it will be like in 20 years, so Momonosuke and Hiyori must be separated. If you are worried about the future, you can do that. No, please believe that we will protect Momonosuke-sama. Before Kazuki Toki finished speaking, Reizo took over the conversation, and then they disappeared in Odin Castle under the power of Kazuki Toki's fruit, and Korematsu also left Odin Castle with the sleeping Kazuki Hiyori from the river. The previous fire caused Kazuki Hiyori to fall into a coma. After everyone who should leave left, Kazuki Toki also looked at the remaining retainers. "Ma'am, come on, we'll take you out." "No, you're the only ones rushing out. Don't worry, this is where I belong, and I'll attract attention for you." Kotsuki rejected them sternly and came to the roof alone. When the others were ordered to leave in tears, she was also shouting something on Odin Castle. The power of Kanjuro Hizenbo seemed to be a little too great. When she just finished speaking, Odin Castle collapsed. Most of the people who heard her words were the 100 beasts below. Zerora, what was that person talking about just now? It must be a riddle like a prophecy. Zerora and Setsuna, who had just finished the affairs of the flower capital and came here, happened to see the collapsed Odin Castle. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311, Temporary Destruction of Kazuki. After a night of fighting, the original ruling class of Wano country was completely overturned, and a huge vacancy appeared in the upper class. This would be a big trouble in other countries, but the national conditions of Wano country are different. There is one good thing about this deformed national condition. As long as someone from the Kazuki family can be found, there will be no ordinary political struggle in Wano country. Kazuki Odin's military force is too strong, which is a hidden danger for the Beast's pirates. If they want to keep an eye on him, only Kaido or Arceus can stay in person, but the situation is different now. After Kazuki Odin's death, it will be easy to stabilize the situation in Wano country by supporting a puppet regime from his still young children. Shaina and Olga are dealing with the follow-up matters, and now they are almost ready. For example, Kirizumi Orochi plans to sow discord and plot poisoning during the banquet. It just so happens that Shaina has found a witness. All the chefs in the Flower Capital Palace are willing to prove that it was Kirizumi Orochi's people who cancelled the poison testing link and took the dishes away in advance. Ordinary people don't know the result of the battle between Kaido and Odin, and Kirizumi Orochi has left a lot of bad reputation in Wano country, but his strength is still a mystery, so it's right to throw all the blame on him. In the minds of the past generation, the Kazuki family was the general of Wano country. In this generation, the Kazuki family has become the mascot of Wano country. It doesn't matter whether he is there or not. The development of 2 generations is enough to make Kazuki's influence disappear directly. Zerora came here to clean up the mess. The people of the Kazuki family would never let them stay in Wano country and act recklessly. As a result, he saw Kazuki's self-immolation as soon as he came. The flames ignited by his Enbo did not stop Zerora's steps, and they did not contact the fire department. The wind pressure generated by the fist extinguished the flames of Odin Castle. However, standing in the ruins, Zerora felt something was wrong. "Zerora, what happened?" Setsuna, who was standing outside the ruins, shouted at Zerora. As a fur tribe, she was afraid of heat. Although Zerora extinguished the fire outside, the residual heat made her not want to get close. "Nothing, just a little weird. There were many burned bodies under Odin Castle. The fire had turned these bodies into ashes long ago. There was nothing to identify their bodies." Then Zerora looked at the 100 beasts people around him. These subordinates of Orochi were also targets to be captured. After Zerora and his men appeared here, these people wanted to leave quietly, but a thunderbolt from the sky blocked their way. "Stop. Lord Zerora, we are here under someone else's orders." Their current identities are still pirates of the 100 beasts, so they tried to impersonate their identities to deceive Zerora. They thought that Zerora could not recognize all the pirates of the 100 beasts. In fact, he was not wrong, but Zerora took out a card reader. "You are a member of the 100 beasts, so where is your ID card?" "The ID card is lost." "Lost? Then are all your cards lost?" Then a current was released from Zerora, which directly electrocuted these members of Orochi. When the real members of the 100 beasts arrived, these people were also captured. As for the other retainers of Kazuki, Kikunosuke and Injiro were caught before they went far, and the existence of Inarashi and Nikomaru also changed. Originally, because of Odin's oil pan punishment, Inarashi and Makomaru had a conflict and fled directly from Wano country back to Zal, but now these things did not happen. After thinking about it before, the two of them were also sent to 20 years later. Now only Korematsu, who escaped by water with Kazuki Hiyori, has not been found for the time being. He sneaked underwater with Kazuki Hiyori for a long time, and Kazuki Hiyori was almost drowned. It was not easy to escape to the mountains and forests of Kuri, but he just thought he was safe, and there was a sound of footsteps behind him. Elizabeth's figure appeared here. Shaina only took Alga away, but Elizabeth came here with Zorora, and followed along the water. At first, Elizabeth wanted to see if there were any remnants of the Kazuki family here. After confirming that there were no other remnants, Elizabeth showed up. As an agent Pokemon, the special organs on its body make it stronger than those ninjas when performing tasks such as tracking. Put that girl down, fishman. Elizabeth has a special status in the Beast's Pirates. Its bounty is still only 50 million. This was the bounty left when it and Alga first performed a mission, that is, going to the naval base to rescue the drunk Kaido. After that, its presence became relatively low, but it has always been training with Olga. Although its strength is not as good as Olga's today due to individual reasons, it is not a weakling. The man and the lizard never separate when they go out. It is the strongest killer hidden in Alga's illusion. It can be said that it is easy to deal with the current Korematsu. And Korematsu paused when facing the fishman's address. Since his mother died, he has not heard the word fishman for a long time. He is a red-finned puffer fishman. When he was a child, he and his mother mistakenly entered Wano country. His mother is also a rare female fishman. The cause of death was discrimination by the citizens of Wano country. She was injured by a stone and did not receive effective medical treatment, so she died here. Because he knew that fishmen would be discriminated against by humans, he asked Korematsu to call himself a kappa. However, whether it was a kappa or a fishman, they would be regarded as monsters in Wano country. He was almost burned to death by the people of Wano country. In the end, he was saved by Kazuki Odin. Fishman. I haven't heard of this name for a long time. Are you also a fishman? No, but I have seen other fishmen. Surrender and put her down. You have no way to escape. Elizabeth gestured to Korematsu with a communication snail in her hand, indicating that the message had been spread. I can't agree to this. If you want to hurt Princess Hiyori, then step over my forehead first. The blade on Elizabeth's tail suddenly pierced his chest. It had already quietly started while talking. The blade hidden in the tail of the thousand faces chameleon is very sharp. You are despicable. We are enemies. What are you talking about? Elizabeth's daily fighting method is long-range sniping, infiltration, assassination, and sneak attacks under the cover of illusions. It is not a heavy tank like Boscadora, and frontal combat is not its style. That's why it took advantage of Korematsu's distraction to launch a surprise attack, and it didn't think there was anything wrong with that. Don't move. Even if you have the ability to resist, this girl doesn't have it. Korematsu wanted to resist, but he gave up the fight after seeing the blade already on Hiyori Kazuka's neck. Chapter 312 Leisurely VIP Ward. 1502. Wano country changed drastically overnight. Compared with the Wano country rebellion that occurred in the original timeline, this event was a little earlier. Most of the battles on various battlefields have ended, and the original ruling class of Wano country has completely disappeared. Whether it is the acting General Kirizumi Orochi, the former general's successor Kazuki Odin, or the daimyo of each village, they all died in the battle at the banquet. Except for Orochi, they are all good fighters, and that is why they all have to die here. They are all firm supporters of the Kazuki family, with certain military power and appeal, and they are also the original leadership class. Such people do not need to appear in the future Wano country. This is a big blood transfusion. Since it has been done, it must be done cleanly. However, the battle on the front battlefield is over, but there are two places that are completely busy. One is the Rabbit Bowl Quarry guarded by Babanuki. In addition to those who died in the battle, there are also a large number of prisoners. Not everyone can fight to the death when they are bound to lose. After the trusted subordinates of those daimyo were killed by the gift giver, most of the remaining people chose to surrender. After persisting for a period of time, many cells in the rabbit bowl quarry were vacated due to the jailbreak, but they were still filled with newcomers. Finally, King Yanwu was transferred here to guard the situation here. Another busy place is the Pokemon Center of Beasts. These doctors have ushered in the busiest night in years. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. He needs emergency surgery. Dr. Darlaws, please be the surgeon. Send the burns to the underground physiotherapy room. The flower therapy bath is ready. Don't waste time. Hurry up. Injured pirates, accidentally injured residents of the Flower City. These wounded have already filled the hall here, and the defeated did not have this treatment. They were just thrown a few rolls of bandages and asked to deal with it themselves. There were no extra resources to be allocated to them at this time. Of course, although the situation below was tense, it was completely different on the top floor of the hospital. In the VIP ward, Yamato, Mariah and Jack were forced to stay in the hospital for observation. Well, I think I just had a scratch. Jack felt a little uneasy looking at those strange medical instruments. He was indeed injured, but he felt that it was just a flesh wound. The human body's perception can be deceiving. So Jack, just be at ease and accept the examination. This is Mr. Arceus's arrangement. All three of you have to stay here for 3 days. Of course, the doctors and nurses here felt that this was unnecessary. Jack's test report had already come out. The physique of fish people was stronger than that of humans. Although there were injuries, they were all flesh wounds. Some shallow wounds had already healed. Mariah was similar. Although she was not a fish person, she was a capable person and her self-healing ability was much stronger than that of ordinary people. But no one raised any objections. Although the current medical model of the Pokemon Center is similar to that of a public hospital, it is a purely private hospital. From top to bottom, this hospital, whether it is staff recruitment or medical equipment and drug resources, is all handled by Pokemon. This naturally includes their salary. Now that there is an order from above, they naturally have to follow it. Even if the medical staff below is very short, this part of the people still only needs to be responsible for these few people. But where is Yamato? Yamato's position has been empty. The three of them went to check together, but the two of them have returned. But Yamato is still not back. Although Yamato fought the most fiercely in the previous battle, because of her physique, she was actually the least injured. The physique of a super newcomer is not a joke. Logically speaking, she should have returned a long time ago. Miss Yamato has some other examinations to do and will be back soon. The two of you will do the last examination first, and today's business can be over. As she said that, she took out 2 questionnaires. Unlike other doctors, this is a professional psychologist whose task is to check their combat psychological state. Jack and Mariah looked at each other, and they suddenly felt that this was more tiring than fighting. At the same time, Yamato had similar thoughts. Looking at the ears of the doll attached to her body and some other things like wires, her mind was a little confused. Is this really what my foster father asked for? Of course, a comprehensive physical examination. By the way, Miss Yamato, this is a questionnaire. Please fill it out. There are still 12 examinations to complete. How is the Jigglypuff? It's fine now. You can see it after the examination. Under the urging of several doctors, Yamato finished the so-called various examinations with a confused look on her face. When she returned to the ward, her face was even more tired than when she was fighting. I'm back. Lying on the so-called hospital bed, Yamato held her frosty milk fairy and began to think about life. Now she began to feel that caring too much was not a good thing. And those doctors had already left. The detailed and overly detailed examinations had confirmed that there was no problem with their bodies. In this case, there was no need for them to stay here. After leaving one person on duty, they also joined the rescue activities below. Congratulations on the end of the examination, but we still have to stay here for 3 days. 3 days. Too bad. No, it's great. Yamato originally thought this was a very bad thing, but after thinking about it carefully, it meant that she didn't have to face Kaido's training for 3 days. No matter how you look at it, it was a good thing, so she accepted it. But she didn't rest quietly, but leaned against the window and looked at the bustling crowd below. Mariah, Jack, why are you talking about this? Why? Why do you want to start a fight? You were living well before. Why don't you keep going like this? She didn't understand why such a meaningless fight had to happen. In her opinion, it was completely unnecessary. I don't know, but if they want to be enemies, just beat them all. Yamato's words made them think briefly, but Jack quickly gave up thinking about this problem. The enemy must be defeated. Since you choose to be an enemy, the reason is not important. I think Jack is right. Just beat them. Why think so much? This reason was not enough to convince Yamato, but when she wanted to continue arguing, Jigglypuff's voice came from behind her. Lucky. It was almost dawn now, so they hadn't slept all night, and now they were still leaning against the window. In Jigglypuff's eyes, this was an absolute danger signal. Chapter 313 Puppet or Warren. Although one of the Jigglypuffs was shot before, it is now basically fine with the power of Tokiwa and the healing of other Jigglypuffs, except that the color of a piece of its body has become lighter, and it can't be seen that it is injured at all. After a while, the mark will slowly disappear. At the request of Jigglypuff, Yamato honestly lay back on the bed. As they no longer care about what's happening outside, a slight sense of fatigue also appears in their bodies. There is no need to sing, and snoring soon sounded in the ward. And everything that happened in Wano country at night was seen by Sky Island above. The height of Sky Island is just right to watch the fireworks below from a new perspective. However, this time the fireworks were replaced by explosions and flames in the middle. The burning flower capital and Odin Castle attracted the attention of the scholars above. What's going on? Has anyone invaded here? Robin asked Zoro beside him at the edge of Sky Island. Impossible. There are not many forces that can do this now. Our tracks have not been exposed, otherwise something would have happened long ago. In this case, it is impossible for them to be from the world government or the navy. As for the pirates, the only pirates capable of attacking the beast's base are Whitebird and Big Mom. However, Big Mom and the beasts have a good trading relationship, and Whitebird will not take the initiative to do such a thing. At this time, I'm afraid it's a civil war. According to Zoro's understanding of the situation in the sea, the position of the beast's pirates in the New World has basically been stabilized. Although the beast's pirates were established, not in a day or two, Kaido is the youngest among the many big pirates. In addition to his network of relationships, no one should attack here. Excluding external enemies, it can only be a civil war, and this scale is probably not a civil war of the pirates, but a conflict between the occupied countries and the beasts. Don't worry, Robin, your friends will be fine. These people can't deal with the beasts. As if seeing that Robin was worried about the situation below, Zoro comforted Robin. Most of the countries and islands in the New World rely on other pirate groups to ensure their safety. Apart from the giant country, there are only a handful of countries that can rely on their own national strength to ensure national security. But this can be regarded as witnessing history. The existence of Sky Island is somewhat isolated from the world. When the Millennium Dragon team left here, they had no way to get down. In Wano country, Kaido looked at the things in front of him and rarely showed an expression similar to Yamato. Are you serious? Nonsense. Is it reasonable to have no injuries at all? You are the savior of the civil strife. Although it is a pity, in the news released to the public, Kazuki Odin cannot die in your hands. Quinn was applying plaster to Kaido according to Arceus' order. He had a good time yesterday, but today was different. That guy is a good opponent, but he is full of joy boy. He seems to have followed Roger to Raftel. I wonder what is there. You will know later. After all, we know the location of the text of the 3 signposts, and we only need the last one. But now you have to play the last play honestly. Don't you like to listen to plays? You can play it yourself today. It's troublesome. At the same time, Kikunojo and Denjiro were in a room, puzzled by the behavior of the beasts. When they were caught before, they were not tortured, but locked in a room. After all, the pot of the chaos in Wano country has been thrown to Kurozumi Orochi, and the Kazuki family is now a victim. It is too strange that only Kazuki Hiyori is left as a victim, so the remaining few people have become a special kind of evidence. Olga can choose to use illusions instead of these, but then she will be bound to Wano country. It is easier to support a puppet. Although Kazuki Hiyori is only 6 years old now and knows nothing, the beasts want such a person who knows nothing. as a puppet, knowing too much is a problem. Judging from the fact that she spent 20 years to collect less information than Robin collected in one night, she is very suitable for this position. And there is another advantage of Iori Kazuki being alive. It is impossible for everyone to obey the rule of the future of beasts. There will always be some diehards of the Kazuki family, and Hiyori Kazuki can lead these people out and let them be completely caught in one fell swoop. Not long after Denjiro and Kikunosuke were imprisoned, the injured Korematsu was also thrown in. Korematsu? Why are you here? Where is Princess Hiyori? I was caught, and so was Princess Hiyori. Denjiro asked this with only a slight possibility of humility. Even Korematsu was caught, so the probability of Hiyori running away was naturally very small. After dawn, the door was opened, and the injured Kaido appeared here, and a jar also appeared at the same time. These are the ashes of Kazuki Oden. He went insane after being poisoned by Orochi at the banquet yesterday, and finally died of exhaustion. What a pity. What a joke, Kaido. Yesterday you said in person that you killed Lord Oden. Listening to the reason given by Kaido, Kikunojo couldn't believe this sentence at all. That's not me. There is a woman named Kirizumi Muchin next to Orochi. She is the ability user of the mimic fruit. She turned into my appearance and deceived you. Don't be ridiculous. You can deceive ordinary people with this reason, but we saw what happened last night. You can't deceive us. Kill us if you want. We will never surrender. Mahaha, Lord Arceus guessed right. You are indeed this kind of virtue, but from now on, this reason is the truth of last night, unless you want your Miss Hiyori to be the top card of the Yukaoka. As soon as these words came out, the figures of the three people were all paused. Kazuki Hiyori fell into the hands of the beasts at this time, and even Kazuki Oden and Ashura Daoji died in battle. Even if there were no hostages, the few people who were far weaker than them would not be Kaido's opponents. What are you going to do? What? Kirizumi Orochi intends to overthrow this country. Brother Kaido discovered the conspiracy of the big snake and thwarted his conspiracy. In order to maintain the rule of Wano country, Brother Kaido will let Kazuki Hiyori inherit the position of general. And Kirizumi Orochi poisoned all the daimyo yesterday. The two consecutive incidents of the Kirizumi family have shown that the daimyo are not reliable. In order to maintain the stability of Wano country, Brother Kaido will serve as the protector of Wano country. What do you think? Then Quinn showed a sinister smile and continued, of course, if you don't like this, you can also let her be the head of the Roku. Mahaha, 2 updates today. Wano country is over, and I have to sort out my thoughts. Chapter 314 Full Quinn. In the future, the people of Wano country will gradually find that the Kazuki family is just a mascot, and it will be the same with or without them. However, the lack of a general, a mascot that looks the same with or without them, the new Wano country, the Wano country trilogy, that has been finalized, has now reached the second step. There are members of the Kazuki family who became generals at a young age. Kazuki Sukiyaki is an example. After he was born, the general of Wano country died sometime later, and he became the general of Wano country. Before he was ignorant. But at that time, he at least understood some things, and the daimyo at that time also sincerely assisted the Kazuki family, so Kazuki Sukiyaki was able to take over the power smoothly when he became an adult. But now it is different. The 6-year-old Kazuki Hiyori knows very little, and the beasts are not those daimyo who are loyal to Wano country. A child of this age being a general seems to be maintaining Kazuki's rule, but it is clearly a puppet. You are talking nonsense. That is not the truth at all. The truth is in the hands of the winner, and it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The ordinary people of Wano country believe it, and we believe it, so this matter is true. Also, this matter is not discussed with you, but notified to you. They have no choice. At this time, they are fish on the chopping board, and dead fish, unable to even jump twice, and have no right to negotiate with the beasts. Don't think that we only have this one way, it's just the simplest one among various plans, which can achieve our goal with the least cost and effort. What you do will determine the treatment of your little princess. Whether it is to have no worries about food and clothing or to serve others, it all depends on the three of you. Mahaha. The reason why Quinn followed Kaido to tell these things is because his image fits here better. It can be said that there is no one more suitable for this villain than him. In an instant, the pressure fell on Kikunojo, Korematsu and Injiro. With Kazuki Oden dead, Kazuki Momonosuke going to the future, and Kazuki Toki leaving a prophecy to declare his disappearance, the safety of Kazuki Hiyori is the responsibility of the retainers who stayed in Wano country. What do you want us to do? You still remain loyal to your Princess Hiyori and protect her safety, but if there is any rumor that shouldn't appear, we want to see Princess Hiyori. No, you can't see her now. Only when the general ascends the throne, you will be qualified to see her, but now, you have to kneel down and pledge allegiance to the future Ming Wang. With that, Quinn gave up Kaido's position and waited for the three people's reply. Loyalty is a very important thing in Wano country. Although it is just a verbal statement now, they have never said this to anyone other than Kazuki Oden. Now, with Kazuki Hiyori as a hostage, they began their first surrender. The first to kneel was Korematsu, who believed that he had not protected Kazuki Hiyori well, and let her fall into the hands of the beasts. At this time, he had completely given up his dignity, and then it was Tanjiro and Kikunojo, who also made the same move, and a huge shutter sound was heard on the side. Behind the screen next to him, two pirates were carrying a huge camera, and there was a lot of smoke. It took Quinn a lot of effort to find such an old-fashioned camera, and he finally found this old guy from the outer island. Very good, a historical scene is recorded like this, and your expressions are really interesting now. The reason why he made a big noise was to observe this expression. At least now his purpose has been achieved. Arsehole. Looking at Quinn's arrogant look, the three people below gritted their teeth, but they had to endure it, because of Kazuki Hiyori's problem. That is really Kazuki Oden's ashes. That guy is a good opponent. Before he is buried, you will guard his body. After saying this, Kaido left here. He naturally left when his purpose of coming here was achieved. Quinn followed closely, and planned to leave here, but before leaving, he looked at Kikunojo in tears, and felt that this girl seemed very unusual. So he pinched Kikunosuke's face a few times, and said a few fancy words to him before leaving. He was a frequent visitor to the entertainment center in Wano country during these years, and spent a lot of money there. Wait, brother Kaido, please walk slower. We still have things to do. According to your next schedule, you have to personally clean up the remaining defeated troops in Wano country. After all, the protector of the country must do something. I know that it would be best if there were some interesting opponents among these people, but Quinn, do you like that? Brother Kaido, what are you talking about? He means that the guy is a man, stupid Quinn. The Ammonite crawled out from Quinn's back little by little. As a key eavesdropper, the Ammonite would not leave people for too long, and its autonomy was much higher than that of ordinary Den Mushi. Man, it's the human you flirted with. The pheromones he exudes are completely the type of man. Only a fool like you would make a mistake. There are many people in the Beast's Pirates that make it difficult for Quinn to deal with, but the one that makes him most helpless is actually Ammon. Because of the importance of its eavesdropping on intelligence, it is also at the level of Master and Den Mushi. And because of the hellish schedule and time difference of the agents of the world government, the time they communicate is often at night in Wano country. Quinn is often not in the state, and he is also influenced by Shaina and Jin. Over time, Ammon has a special name for Quinn. Compared with idiots and waste, Ammon's words to him are even polite. In the past, he would quarrel with Ammon, but this time he didn't. The fact that Kikunojo is a man seems to have caused him a lot of impact. It doesn't matter if a man dresses up as a woman, but he just flirted with a man dressed up as a woman. Looking at his mechanical hand, he felt that it was time to upgrade. He should also learn from Yamato and make a brother like 2.0. At the same time, Kazuki Hiyori also woke up. She had been choked by the smoke from the burning Oden castle and had been in a coma since she followed Korematsu on the waterway. She had just woken up. She heard some noisy voices which seemed to be shouting Hiyori, wake up. But when she opened her eyes, she saw Jin wearing a pure black mask, which almost frightened her to death again. Chapter 315 Your father is dead, your mother doesn't want you anymore, and your brother ran away. This is a room near the Flower Capital Palace. The previous war has destroyed the palace. Although it has not been burned to ashes, it is now in a state of danger. The people who take care of Hiyori are not from the beast's pirates, but the waiters who have been in the flower capital palace from the beginning. These people have served the daimyo of Wano country for generations. At first, they obeyed the orders of Kazuki Sukiyaki. After Kurozumi Orochi took the position of acting general, Orochi's orders could also command them. These people have no idea what happened last night. To be precise, these people can survive thanks to Zorora. He did not participate in the melee, but was a firefighter, including getting this part of the people out of the burning palace, and they believe the reasons given by the beasts, because what they said about Kurozumi Orochi in the past is true. For example, he killed Sukiyaki, and Kurozumi Mushin is a sorcerer who can transform into the appearance of others. In addition, in the eyes of the chef, Kurozumi Orochi forcibly cancelled the poison testing link, which made him more suspicious. It can be said that with the efforts of Kurozumi Orochi, he successfully took away most of the suspects. After Kazuki Hiyori was brought back, many people also believed this. However, the beasts did not trust these people too much. They had to leave a reliable person to watch over here to make sure that no accidents would happen. Jin was here to perform this task. After the war last night, they were not idle. There were large vacancies in the top management of Wano country. Of course, the beasts would take this opportunity to make almost all of these top managers their own. However, they did not intend to re-establish the daimyo. Now Wano country has enough to have a puppet, and the rest will only be directly governed by the beasts. Mom, where are you? The drowsy Kazuki Hiyori instinctively looked for Kazuki Toki, but she did not get a response from Kazuki Toki as before. Instead, she got Jin's cold eyes. This strange look scared her, and then a scream came out of her mouth. Some people around wanted to get close, but were stopped by Jin. You go and prepare what General Hiyori needs. Wano country needs stability. I will tell her what happened yesterday. But this is related to the secret of Odin Castle yesterday. Do you want to know? Jin's height and clothing have a deterrent effect. His black leather suit, which looks like an interrogator from beginning to end, can naturally make people feel fearful. Moreover, his words are inherently intimidating. Those who serve in the general's palace naturally know when to be dumb and when to pretend to know nothing. Those who are loyal to Kazuki were cleared out when Orochi ascended the throne. The remaining ones were unwilling to fight for Kazuki, so they naturally left. Then Jin's cold voice reached Kazuki Hiyori's ears. She doesn't want you anymore. Between you and your brother, she chose your brother instead of you. What are you talking about? Mom won't do that. You'll know when you see it. He put a projected snail in front of Kazuki Hiyori, and as he patted the snail shell, a projection also appeared on the screen in front of him. Because of the Rotom monitor, some things that happened in Odin Castle were known to the beasts, including the approximate time of Kazuki Hiyori's coma. Rotom's surveillance is not just a picture without sound. It can be clearly heard that Kazuki Toki did not have time to wait for his children to wake up and explain to them, but handed it over to the retainers. There may be a chance with Momonosuke, but Kazuki Hiyori was intercepted by Elizabeth before she woke up, so she didn't know anything at all. At this time, the picture shows the burning of Odin Castle. Kazuki Toki had no choice but to send one person to a safer future. Among the choices of her children, she finally chose her son. After she sent Kazuki Momonosuke away, a burning beam fell down and blocked her view. Although Zorok's illusion is false, it is extremely real, and even the photographic equipment can be deceived. This is the clip that Alga made yesterday. As for why only a small clip was made, the open ending will have more suspense. She doesn't know Kazuki Toki, and it is easy to reveal her feat if she makes too much. As we all know, there is no PS technology in Wano country, so the video must be real. At least now, Hiyori Kazuki still doesn't understand what's going on, and she hasn't even thought about why her home is being monitored by the other party. She has been shocked by the content of the monitoring. Kazuki Odin died in an accident last night because of Kurozumi Orochi's murder. Kazuki Toki is missing, and your brother was sent away by your mother. Now you need to take over the position of the general of Wano country. Jin didn't give Hiyori Kazuki time to think at all, and directly instilled a lot of content into her mind. Those words were 9 true and 1 false, and there was some false propaganda. In short, your father died, your mother didn't want you anymore, your brother ran away, and you will become the general to revitalize Wano country. Now the position of supervising Hiyori Kazuki has been handed over to Jin, but he has no patience for strangers like Hiyori Kazuki. No, you are lying. My father will not die. He said he will not die. After Jin finished a long string of words, Hiyori Kazuki digested the first sentence. It's a pity that he's dead. The funeral will be held in 3 days. Now, as the last orphan of the Kazuki family, you have to take up the position of the general. Then a group of very old people came in. These people were the original ministers of Wano country. They were in office during the Kazuki Sukiyaki and Kurizumi Orochi periods. It can be seen that these people are not very stubborn. The people and retainers may be loyal, but for these ministers, it doesn't matter who the general is. It's enough for them to still be ministers. Here, we still have to thank Kurizumi Orochi. He has cleared a lot of stubborn people for the beasts in a few years. There are not many people in the beasts pirates who can handle internal affairs. It's okay to manage a pirate group, but it's not so easy to govern a country. If all these people are cleared out, the beasts will find it troublesome. So they temporarily retain the status of these people who are willing to surrender, and plan to slowly train new people to replace them. If they are obedient, the beasts don't mind continuing to use them. If they have other thoughts, it's different. In the following time, these old ministers began to instill various long speeches to Kazuki Hiyori about the importance of the general. But when she believed this, Jin poured a new bucket of cold water on her. Chapter 316 Obituary of Wano Country. 1502 was destined to be a memorable year for the people of Wano country because too many things happened that year, and because it happened a while earlier than the original timeline. The chaos happened just in the new year. The people of Hananomizu and Kiri were directly affected, and many people were injured, but there were more people who had no idea what happened. The next day, an obituary spread throughout Wano country with a list of the people who died in the entire Wano country last night. How could it be? What happened yesterday? The Big Malay in Hananomizu could not take care of everyone, especially in the Big Malay with Yamato as the focus. Whether it was samurai or pirates, they did not consider the surrounding environment. Capturing and saving people were their only thoughts. They didn't know how many buildings were destroyed. Although Lord Kajiro rescued them afterwards, there were still many casualties. There are many people in various villages in Wano country who are related to each other, and there are many relatives of people on that list. Of course, there is a more critical issue. The names of daimyo such as Kazuki Oden and Shimotsuki Ashimaru also appear on it. Lord Oden, Lord Yasu, Lord Ashimaru. What on earth is going on? What? Lord Oden passed away. The scene was in a panic. Many people squeezed forward in the crowd. They did not believe this kind of thing. Some people grabbed the people around them and asked questions because they could not read. The literacy rate in Wano country was not high. The class had long been fixed under the closed door policy. Before becoming retainers of Kazuki Oden, gangsters such as Kinemon and Ashura Daoji were mostly illiterate. Only a small number of them could receive an education. They simply could not understand what was written on the obituary. Silence. Silence. The people standing at the obituary struck the large gong, using this traditional way to quiet the scene. What's going on? Tell me. Yeah, how could the daimyo get into trouble on the same day? They are all powerful samurai. I told you to be quiet, otherwise how can I explain it to you? Similar situations have occurred in various villages in Wano country. The huge curtains were stretched open, and the video snails were ready. According to the development of the original timeline, the execution of the Shimotsuki Yasu family was spread across the country in this way. Now they can naturally do the same thing. The content of this live broadcast is not an execution, but a record of last night's banquet and some interview clips. For example, an interview with the chef of the Flower Capital Palace at that time. The black charcoal snake did not let us test the poison, and took the food out directly. I saw the snake arranged an ambush around the Flower Capital. These are the testimonies from the survivors in the Flower Capital Palace, followed by records of the banquet. The grand scene is naturally a fake banquet scene created by Olga, and the person who created this special effects scene is on vacation. Creating an illusion also requires physical strength. Creating such a realistic scene is quite exhausting for her, so she ran to Kiri Beach for a vacation. No one cared about her at this time, and she was now happily sunbathing with Elizabeth. You can see that this is all Kirizumi Orochi's conspiracy. He secretly killed Master Kazuki Sukiyaki a few years ago. Then the sorcerer beside him pretended to be Master Sukiyaki and let him take over the position of general. Then it was still Orochi. He pretended to be Mr. Kaido and caused conflicts between the daimyo and him. He also poisoned and arranged ambushes in advance to eliminate everyone in one fell swoop, and finally dragged Wano country into hell. Although these people are from Wano country, they are the ones who were absorbed by Kajiro at the beginning. So what they said was what was explained in advance, and there were many shills in the crowd. Now these shills are talking about Kaido cleaning up the fleeing soldiers yesterday, and some are really speaking well for the beasts, such as those farm residents who were protected from harassment by the mob under the cover of Pokemon. People whose relatives are receiving treatment at the Pokemon Center, etc. Finally, under deliberate guidance, Kirizumi Orochi became the root of evil. Even the rebellion of his grandfather, which was downplayed at the beginning, was dug up again, so that in Wano country, the surname of Kirizumi has become a sin. The situation that Kirizumi Orochi experienced in the past, where everyone wanted to kill Kirizumi, was almost repeated. But now things are not over yet. Although many unfortunate things have happened, there is still good news. The orphan of Lord Odin, Lady Kazuki Hiyori, is still alive. She happened to be rescued, and under the protection of Mr. Kaido, she will succeed the position of general in a few days. The general who was taken away by Kirizumi Orochi will return to Kazuki again. Originally, there were still many voices of opposition below, but when this sentence was shouted out, those voices of opposition disappeared in an instant, and were replaced by a cheer. The hundreds of years of closure of the country gave birth to this deformed cultural trend in Wano country. If you want to directly eliminate the Kazuki family, there will be rebellion everywhere. It is easy to suppress the rebellion by force, but that means an unstable rear, and the beasts will have to waste more troops to guard here. This is different from their purpose. A puppet can solve this problem. With the passage of time, the new generation of Wano residents will change this situation. Okay, everyone, there is one more thing to do. Some people took advantage of the chaos last night to start a riot. Kuri, Hakume, Hananomitsu, Haim, Usagi. This riot affected 5 areas except Ryoko. Many people have been harmed by this. Now those leaders have been caught, and now they will be executed. The main blame was pushed to Kirizumi Orochi, and a group of rioters were executed. In this way, the beasts diverted the contradictions, and took themselves out of it. However, not everyone believed this. The remaining Odin retainers could only be forced to accept it, and there was one person who knew a little about the details, Higoro, who did not wade into this muddy water because of Kajiro. Little soldier, what's wrong with you? Looking at Higoro, who was slightly out of control, his wife asked in confusion. Nothing. Although beasts explained the reason why Odin danced, he was deceived by Kirizumi Orochi and mistakenly took ordinary people who worked for beasts as hostages held by beasts. It was not surprising for Odin to do such a thing given his character, but he knew another thing. Kirizumi Orochi did not have the ability to kill the generals and daimyo, and there was 9 truths, and 1 lie in beast's words, so this matter must not be that simple. But he did not stand out, because he saw those real images, and some people in Wano country did live better, because of Kaido's arrival. Chapter 317, The Love-Inducing Geodude in the Giant Rock. He couldn't figure out what happened, so he chose to remain silent and watch all these things happen. There was another reason for him to do this, that is, he thought too much. He thought that Odin's sudden alienation in the later period was a hint to him, meaning that if something really happened, he should not do anything. Originally, he didn't know why Kazuki Odin suddenly ignored him at that time, and even if his wife personally invited him, he would not come to his house as a guest. Now it seems that all this makes sense. The funerals of Kazuki Odin and the daimyo were after the general's inauguration ceremony, and now he chose to go to the other party alone to pay his respects. Many things need to be prepared, and these were handed over to those people in Wano country. Kajiro also participated in it. After this night, his status has changed dramatically again. Although there are not many people, His family can now be said to be the top wealthy family in Wano country. On the other side, Kaido has committed his old problem, and his collecting addiction has broken out. The general and the daimyo are not convenient to be under his command for various reasons, but others are different. At this time, a group of rioting prisoners and pirates in the rabbit bowl quarry were executed, and the rest were recruited by Kaido. I'll give you a chance now. If you join me, you can eliminate your guilt last night, but it's limited to samurai. Now his vision has become higher. There are miscellaneous soldiers everywhere. Those hooligans who are not up to the standard are not worth recruiting. Instead, those samurai who fought back and forth with his subordinates aroused his interest. However, most of the samurai resisted this. They eventually stayed here and became the new mining team. The fastest to surrender were Orochi's Oniwabanshu. These special ninjas also made Kaido a little interested, so he gave them a chance. In the battle last night, Fukurakuju, Daikoku, Hanzo, and Jigoku Benton all died. The remaining 7 people chose to surrender almost without thinking. They did the same thing when Orochi became the general. Kaido didn't need such people, but he planned to throw this Oniwabanshu to Kazuki Hiyori as a scene team. It just so happened that these so-called ninjas were still quite famous in Wano country, so he made use of them. After Kaido left, the younger brother next to Babanuki came up. Brother Babanuki, why didn't you tell the governor general about that just now? Are you new here? Babanuki didn't answer, but looked at the pirate with a little hesitation. I joined the beasts 2 years ago, and was transferred to Wano country from the outer sea this year. No wonder you don't know anything. It's useless to tell Governor General Kaido about this. Just wait for Lord Arceus's arrangement. The question he raised was very simple. He found that the miners should not be allowed to eat too much. If they are full, they will cause trouble, but if they are not full, it will affect the mining efficiency. The turmoil last night put Babanuki into a dead loop. He couldn't figure out how to deal with this problem, so he sent the problem up. So Arceus came here shortly after Kaido left. The team that had assembled in the mining field to welcome Kaido had not yet disbanded, and they assembled again immediately. Lord Arceus, why did you come in person? To solve the problem you mentioned, and to see the child. As soon as the voice fell, some gravel on the ground was shaken up again, and Boscadora, which was as big as a pacifist, ran over directly. Some iron filings could be seen at the corners of its mouth. It seemed that it was eating just now. Seeing that the big steel guy was as gentle as a pet in front of Arceus, the expressions of some prisoners changed. They had seen how terrible Boscadora was when he went crazy. It seemed that it had smashed a huge piece of raw ore for training before. The pirates were no longer surprised by this. After all, when it was still a Kadora, it often practiced by banging its head against the mountain. There were also a few small Geodudes at Boscadora's feet. These rock-type Pokémon with more irritable personalities showed their gentleness to the extreme in front of Arceus. Really? Got it. You did a great job. You will have a new companion today. Arceus answered the Pokémon. Hearing what he said, Boscadora immediately brought a large piece of sea stone ore, and the Geodudes also looked forward to it. Under the transformation of the power of the rock slab, the sea stone ore also underwent a huge change. Under this power, the ore began to decompose and reorganize, and a Pokémon with a rock body like Geodude appeared here. However, it is not a sphere, but a Pokémon with a body and limbs, and its body is covered with many different colored crystal stones with sharp edges. High pressure Pokémon. Gulliver's main body is made of a rock that is almost cone shaped, with a different colored crystal stone in the center of the chest and back. Gulliver's head has a crystal stone that runs from the top of the head to the center of the eyebrows and to the chin, and there is also a crystal stone on the chin and on the left and right of the head. The triangular rocks form its limbs. There are 2 sharp crystals at the front ends of these rocks, which form its claws. Gray-black strips connect its body and limbs. The crystals on the body of ordinary Pangyan monsters are orange, but the color of the crystals on this Pangyan monster is the same as the lines on the body of the small rock, which is dark blue. The function of these crystals is to absorb sunlight and emit them from the mouth as a light ball after reacting in the energy core. This is Pangyan monster's main means of attack. If in the world of Pokémon, these guys often bury themselves underground, leaving only the crystals on their heads exposed. Although the color has changed now, The dark blue light absorption is actually better. The energy bombs fired by Pan-Yan monster are very powerful. It is equivalent to having an additional self-propelled artillery in the mine. The disadvantage is that it cannot be fired at night and on rainy days, and can only be fired on sunny days. Moreover, Pan-Yan monster has always been the favorite Pokemon of miners. Their strength and characteristics have always been good at mining, and they are very practical, whether digging holes or splitting rocks. Arceus came to create the Gigantamax this time, which can not only increase the mining power of the mine, but also increase the mine's defense ability. However, when it appeared, the Geodude seemed to be agitated and surrounded it soon after it appeared. This is because Geodude and Boscadora are both males, but this Gigantamax is different. It is a female. Arceus just randomly decided the gender, and didn't care about other things, but Geodude and Gigantamax belong to the same mineral group egg group, and these Geodudes who have never seen a female seem to be moved. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318, The Airborne Leader Frog of the Oniwa Banshu. The giant rock kicked the small rock to the side. It had no interest in these round stones. Arceus left here after the creation. The giant rock looked at the sun in the sky and chose an open place in the mine. Although the rabbit bowl quarry is not composed of seastone everywhere, because a large amount of seastone grows in the veins below, the surface here is a rock, and the hardness is far beyond that of ordinary rocks. However, the crystals on the giant rock's claws easily tore the ground under its feet, and then dug a hole suitable for itself, and buried itself in it. The crystals on its body were exposed to the surface, and began its life of absorbing sunlight. And everything in Wano country did not stop because of these. With the imprisoned Oniwa Banshu surrendering again, the general's exclusive guard team also appeared again, but this time the leader of Oniwa Banshu has been replaced by another person. It is not Jin or Okada, but a real ninja, or a Koga-style ninja. To be more specific, it should be said to be Greninja. The three great families in the Kalos region, Koga Greninja. After Zorora, this is the second Pokemon created with full language ability. The overall image is a blue humanoid frog, with a flowing appearance and a hint of handsomeness. But one thing should be ignored. The scarf on its neck is not its own scarf, but its tongue. Otherwise it will feel a little awkward. Lord, the Greninja appeared and knelt in front of Arceus after getting familiar with his body. After slightly adjusting his body, Greninja's height was also 2 meters, which made his posture more slender. Lord, why would he call you that? Kaido felt a little strange watching Greninja address Arceus. Although the degree of respect was the same, Zorora's previous address was either Lord or Master, and Kaido felt a little strange when it came to Greninja. Nothing, he is different from Zorora. He will stay in Wano country most of the time to deal with some things, so he follows the local customs in this regard. What about the Oniwa Banshu? Let them meet their new leader. At this moment, the Oniwa Banshu who chose to surrender were also discussing a question, that is, who will be the new leader of the Oniwa Banshu in the future. In the past, the leader of the Oniwa Banshu has always been Fukirakuju. Fukirakuju is much stronger than them in terms of the general's trust and his own strength. Compared with their various props disguised as ninjutsu, Fukirakuju still has some real skills, but now Fukirakuju is dead, and this position is naturally vacant. In fact, they all have injuries on their bodies, but they are luckier than others. Jigoku Benten and Eikoku died in a group fight with a small caliber submachine gun, because they directly launched an attack. The small caliber submachine gun and the poisonous smoke configured by the ninjas themselves could not even scratch the small caliber submachine gun. Hanzo died from the attack of the furious Boscadora. At that time, he was unlocking some prisoners, and Boscadora thought he was the one unlocking the diamond fruit, so he suffered misfortune and attracted Boscadora's anger. They didn't understand how to cut steel, and they had no way to deal with Boscadora. They all chose to surrender, so they naturally didn't care about other people's opinions. Whether they could get better treatment was what they valued. There is no doubt that the leader must be able to get more things. The Beast's pirates did not recruit again, but directly incorporated them, which made some people ambitious. At this time, the Windblade and Thunderblade brothers and the woman named Chiyo were arguing about this issue. But before they could get any results, the airborne leader came. Although the image is a bit weird, it is not surprising. But such people have a high proportion in the Beast's pirates, because there are fur tribes like Zorora and animals like Elizabeth among the Cardas, plus Shaina's face in the human beast state, plus the overall culture of the Beast's pirates. Beasts are a mainstream in the Beast's pirates. Many ordinary pirates will wear beast masks or decorations such as horns and fangs. This kind of clothing is gradually becoming the mainstream of the Beast's pirates. The Oniwa Banshu are also used to such scenes. What should we do when facing an airborne leader? Of course, we should accept it humbly. These people are surrenderers and have no right to choose in this regard, but it is inevitable that some people will be unhappy. We can try. If anyone is dissatisfied, the winner will be the new leader of the Oniwa Banshu. As an airborne leader, Greninja wants to establish his authority. At this time, killing a chicken to scare the monkey is always a good choice. The reason why the Beast's pirates directly executed the leaders of the riots yesterday was also for this reason. It's just that Greninja underestimated the patience of these ninjas. They did it in terms of endurance. In the face of his provocation, no ninja stood up and directly followed his arrangements. This was completely beyond Greninja's expectations. He didn't expect that these ninjas had no thorns. This is also caused by the national conditions of Wano country. The Oniwa Banshu are the guards of the general, and in the history of Wano country, only the Kurazumi family tried to usurp the throne, but that was after the general's death. Before Kurazumi Orochi, no one had ever taken the initiative to murder the general, so these Oniwa Banshu themselves were more like a ceremonial guard, and their actual combat experience was getting less and less. Moreover, the purpose of these people is to protect the general only, no matter who the general is. It is this logic that allows them to maintain their position after the general has experienced Kazuki Sukiyaki, Kurazumi Orochi, and now Kazuki Hiwa and the third generation. When there is no designated leader, they fight for power and profit, and they directly give up resistance in the face of higher military threats. So Arceus just treats them as a ceremonial guard to maintain the nominal status of the general in Wano country. In fact, these people have no rights at all. But Koga Greninja's plan was successfully carried out. Although these members of the Oniwa Banshu did not resist, there are still people who want to compete for the position of the leader. The day before the general's succession ceremony, a woman came back here as a former member of the Oniwa Banshu. Shinobu, the user of the superhuman Riku Riku fruit, was originally a member of the Oniwa Banshu who served the Kazuki family. After Kurazumi Orochi usurped the throne, the Oniwa Banshu turned against her, and she left the Oniwa Banshu. It can be said that she is the only one in the Oniwa Banshu who is truly loyal to the Kazuki family. She came back here again because she saw the news that Iori Kazuki would succeed to the throne, so she came back here again. Chapter 319 The General Who Takes Office and the General's Imperial Pendant. According to the development of the original timeline, Kurazumi Orochi threatened Oden with hostages to make him dance, and Shinobu happened to be lurking in the general's residence that day, so she became the only one who knew the truth. Now many things have changed dramatically. For example, Shinobu was also unaware of what happened that day. Shinobu and her brother Shinobu spent New Year's Day in Ryogo, and what they saw the next day was the obituary. The general's residence in Oden Castle and Hana no Miyabi has become a ruin. She came back here simply because she saw the news that Kazuki Hiyori was going to become the general. She thought that the original Oniwa Banshu were no longer worthy of protecting the general, so she came back here. This is also the purpose of the beasts. Instead of letting those who are loyal to Kazuki hide in the dark, it is better to use Kazuki Hiyori as bait to fish them all out. Now the first fish that has taken the bait has appeared. She and the original Oniwa Banshu have already had a bad relationship, but she felt something was wrong when she saw the injured appearance of these Oniwa Banshu. What happened to your injuries? What happened that night? No one answered her question, whether it was Chiyo or Lei Ren. These fence sitters just wanted to live well, and they would not offend the beasts because of a little ninja who had already fallen out. Not to mention that they didn't know all the details. They didn't even want to say what they knew. They didn't want to be taken back to the mining site to mine under the supervision of those monsters. Chiyo even provoked her and asked her to challenge Greninja. Hey, Chiyo, is it necessary? Who made her so noble? Our paths were different a few years ago. Since she is not convinced, let her go and hit the nail herself. Otherwise, that person will always find a chance to establish his authority. If you don't want to be the chicken that is killed, just be a monkey watching the show. Besides, what exactly does he know? Let Zyro Shinobu try it herself. She didn't even provoke anything. She just told Zyro Shinobu that Koga Greninja was the leader of the Oniwa Banshu who was airborne by the beasts, and said that, if she defeated him, she would get the position of leader. As for the beastman type Pokemon like Greninja, Avalokiteshvara, and Zorora, as long as they are given complete language ability, it is difficult for ordinary people to tell whether they are ability users or not. In their eyes, Greninja is just a strange sorcerer. Greninja did not refuse this challenge. He also needed such an opportunity to show his fists and feet. Although he was born not long ago, and his actual combat experience is not sufficient, it is enough for the competition. What do you want to compete in? Shinobu, who was dressed in pink, asked Greninja. Before she became a fat middle-aged woman, Shinobu was indeed a seductive female ninja. Charming female ninja and men's nemesis were her titles. Among the group of eccentrics in the Oniwa Banshu, Shinobu's strength is also relatively strong. Of course, these are useless to Greninja. It is basically impossible for humans to charm frogs. The Oniwa Banshu are a ninja unit, so let's compete in something simple. Since you call yourself a ninja, you should know the three-body technique. Greninja's source of knowledge was Arceus, so he began to say something about ninjas that Shinobu couldn't understand. Three-body technique? Stand, clone, instantaneous body. You call yourself a ninja, and you don't even know this? Greninja showed a stand technique, referring to the stand split out of the stand. Clone technique, to be precise, it is the multiple shadow clone technique, where the shadow clones directly leave multiple phantoms. Instantaneous body technique, refers to a flash of lightning. He appeared behind Shinobu almost in an instant, and his finger directly slashed across her neck. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Oniwa Banshu I lead are different from the previous Oniwa Banshu. They can't come and go as they please. If you become a traitor again, I will let you know the price of betrayal. As he spoke, a water shuriken condensed in his hand. Many water type Pokemon have special uses for water. The high-speed sniper bullets of the Thousand Faces, and the water shuriken of Greninja. Since Greninja parachuted into the leader of the Oniwa Banshu, the original gathering place of the Oniwa Banshu has become his territory. There are many targets for ninja practice here, but they are just wooden stakes wrapped in straw. Usually, the shurikens they throw out are at most embedded in them, but Greninja's water shuriken directly cut off several straw stakes in a row and finally disappeared into the sky. The three-body technique in the water shuriken ended this so-called challenge. Although the ninja system of Wano country is different from that of Greninja, the clones and shuriken still exist as the basis, which has already shown that Greninja is far superior to their strength. However, she chose to return to the Oniwa Banshu because she cared about the Kazuki family. The day when Kazuki Hiyori ascended the throne was coming soon. The collapsed palace had not been repaired yet, but the old ministers had been telling Kazuki Hiyori about the so-called etiquette these days. When Kazuki Oden was young, he didn't listen to them at all. After Kurazumi Orochi usurped the throne, they didn't dare to make any suggestions. Now a young general has appeared, and these people finally have their own place to use their skills. Under their indoctrination, Kazuki Hiyori's mind was full of what the general should do, and what the general should do. Originally, all the generals and daimyo families should appear at the ceremony, but now those positions are empty, with only some nominal nobles, such as Kajiro, as well as Kazuki Oden's former retainers. Seeing Kazuki Hiyori safe and sound was their greatest comfort at this time. This ceremony was actually a burden for Kazuki Hiyori. The clothes on her body added up to 30 kilograms, and this was the result of the reduced size. She felt an exor just wearing the hat. Witnessed by the live broadcast, the citizens of Wano country witnessed Kazuki Hiyori becoming the new general. At the same time, on this day, a new official position appeared in Wano country, and its name is the general's official position. in the nouns of Wano country, is a honorific for referring to the general's affairs, and means to engage in handling. This official position means to handle the general's affairs full time, which is equivalent to a confidential secretary, and the person who holds this official position is Jin. In general, all matters that need to be handled by the general must be handed over to Kazuki Hiyori through Jin. Even if other people want to see Kazuki Hiyori, Jin needs to convey this matter. After finishing the complicated and tiring ceremony, she had not had a rest yet, and Jin had already found her. General Hiyori, there are many things to do next. First of all, the original samurai group Makegumi will be disbanded. The Shinsengumi will become a new samurai unit. A new ninja unit will be formed with the Oniwa Banshu as the leader, and brother Kaido will serve as the protector of the country. Chapter 320 The last general of the Kazuki family. Jin held a pile of folders in his hand. Arceus and Arcee discussed the future development policy when Wano country was preparing for Hiyori Kazuki's inauguration ceremony. The priority is still military force. In addition to the biggest military deterrent, the Beast's pirates, Arceus began to attack the local military forces of Wano country. The previous Mackay group was a samurai unit under Orochi, which was basically destroyed in the battle that night. Now Kaido wants to reorganize a Shinsengumi as the internal security force of Wano country. Kajiro will be the leader of the Shinsengumi, and at the same time, the Oniwa Banshu of Kogagura Ninja will also recruit ninja units. Jin told Hiyori Kazuki about the next arrangements, as if he was announcing a notice, and didn't care about Hiyori Kazuki's attitude at all. Wait. After Jin said a lot, Hiyori Kazuki finally reacted and interrupted Jin's behavior of wanting to continue. The interrupted Jin glanced at Kazuki Hiyori. He was over 6 meters tall, and he looked like a monster to Kazuki Hiyori, who was just over 1 meter tall. His emotionless voice scared Kazuki Hiyori a little, but the position of general and the thinking instilled by those people gave her the courage to continue. I'm the general, right? I think Kajiro is not suitable. Before she finished speaking, a sound of metal twisting came out, and a silver cup was directly crushed into a pancake by him. Yes, you are the general, but you can sit here and become a general, not because you have the talent of a general, but because we think you can be a general, so you can be a general. Jin's attitude was completely different from before. When in front of outsiders, he was like a guard, standing beside Kazuki Hiyori without saying a word, but now, he treated Kazuki Hiyori without the slightest respect, as if he were an ant. To put it another way, you don't need to think, and we don't need your consent. I'm just informing you of what you're going to do, and all you have to do is agree to what I say, otherwise it will be very difficult for everyone. Agreeing is your only option, or I can give you 3 chances to refuse. Jin's words made Hiyori Kazuki unable to react for a while, and then Jin took out the portraits of Denjiro, Korematsu, and Kikunosuke. You can refuse 3 times, and every time you refuse, one of the 3 will die because of you. I mean what I say, do you want to try? The situation changed a little suddenly. Previously, she was ambitious to be a general, but Jin revealed her true nature as a puppet to her today. She was just a transition, so that the people of Wano country would gradually accept that the Kazuki family was just a mascot, and it would be abolished after 1 or 2 generations. So the approach of the beasts was also very direct. Arceus didn't think Hiyori Kazuki could sincerely join the beasts, and he thought it was impossible to kill the other party's father and absorb the other party's daughter, so he simply let Jin make everything clear. Using Kazuki Hiyori to threaten Korematsu and others to obey, and then using Korematsu and others to threaten Kazuki Hiyori, directly saved a lot of trouble. No, don't kill them, just do whatever you want. She suddenly lost her family and now only had the 3 of them left. Facing Jin's threat, she was very afraid that they would die because of her words, so she chose to compromise. Isn't it good like this? Don't worry, you can have everything a general should have. In this palace, you are a real general. You can order those ministers and attendants at will. It doesn't matter if you kill them, if you don't like them. This is a temporary palace, and those ministers are originally servants in the Flower Capital Palace. They are also people that Kazuki Hiyori can command, but only in the palace. This is the scope of Kazuki Hiyori's words. I will give you face to the outside world. As long as you are obedient, we can live in harmony. You will have wealth and glory, and no one can threaten you. But if you don't obey, the silver cup that was pinched into a pancake turned directly into liquid on the ground. Hell and heaven all depend on your choice, and there are still some things about the future development. Why don't you decide for yourself? Why are you telling me now? What are you talking about? This is the general's process. The process should be followed. On this day, Kazuki Hiyori realized that her general was just a puppet. After leaving the palace, the effectiveness of her words was not even as good as that of an ordinary soldier of the beasts. Then Wano country also began to recruit the Shinsengumi, but these things were done by Kichiro, who had already gained the trust of the beasts pirates. Kaido's title of protector of the country also resounded throughout Wano country under a series of propaganda, and under the absolute deterrence of force. Many wandering samurai chose to join the Shinsengumi on the side of the beasts. Led by the famous samurai of Wano country such as Hotei, a large number of people were recruited and examined. What happened in Wano country had nothing to do with Yamato and the others. After 3 days of forced hospitalization and observation, they finally walked out of the VIP ward. After that, she returned to Onigashima surrounded by a crowd, and the moment the Rotom electronic door opened, the hairs on her body stood up. Her instinct made her lie down immediately, and then she felt a gust of wind behind her head. When she looked up, she saw Kaido holding the 8th priestess. Did you dodge? What a pity, but this shows that you didn't slack off during the 3-day vacation. Not bad, not bad. Looking at Kaido who was laughing to himself, Yamato couldn't laugh anymore. What are you doing? Father, do you want to kill me? I will die if I get hit by that stick. Impossible, at most I will be seriously injured. Godfather, did you hear me? Father is going to attack me again. Help. Yamato saw Arceus rolling and crawling over from the corner of her eye. Although it was not very elegant, it was her sense of seeking help ingrained in her bones. Kaido might not fulfill his serious words, but he would really implement the training he said as a joke. Ugh. Yamato, your godfather can't save you this time. I'm the only one who can train you in Conqueror Haki, so get ready for some special training. There is an essential difference between Arceus's coercion and Conqueror Haki. Although the strength of Conqueror Haki is determined by one's own spirit, it still takes training to control it. Whether it's the control ranging power or the entanglement of Conqueror Haki, this training can only be done by Kaido. Looking at Arceus's affirmative eyes, Yamato seemed to fall into new despair, but for the pirates of Onigashima, they are very excited now, because after the war, it's time to reward the beasts for their merits. Chapter 321 Zorora's official matches. Of course Lucario. The pirates were not interested in attending the banquet in Wano country. Only a few people could get used to the bland food. The carnival of the beasts after the war was what they were looking forward to the most. And the carnival after the war was not only about wine and food, but also the ability bestowed upon them was what they were looking forward to the most. Yahoo! Are you all ready, little ones? In the banquet hall inside Onigashima, Quinn took his microphone and began to host the banquet. His plump body kept twisting on it with the accompaniment of several people, showing his own graceful dance. Ready? Very good. We are all old people, so I won't talk nonsense. I have to say that the pensions for the dead have been paid out. Lord Arceus said that if anyone dares to bully the families of those people, don't blame him for being rude. But next, let us invite the brave warriors in this war. Next, we will get 3 new god-given people. Oh. Under Quinn's command, the spotlight searched for targets everywhere inside Onigashima. First is Hold'em. He defeated 7 samurai in the previous battle in Wano country, and he was the first to break through the samurai's defense line and reach Miss Yamato. 2 searchlights shone on Hold'em, who was the candidate reported by the carders before. The lottery process for these people who have obtained complete abilities has long been over. Today is just an opportunity to announce them and give them abilities. In addition, at the Rabbit Bowl mining field, Deputy Warden De Vega also made great contributions in suppressing the rebellion. He assisted Babanuki in solving a large number of rebellious pirates. And finally, the girl Setsuna from the Fur tribe. She defeated a large number of members of Orochi's army in the battle to clear the city of Odin. It's not that he forgot the words, but there seems to be an extra card in the small card he prepared for hosting. If we talk about achievements, Setsuna did far less in this battle than Hold'em and Devego, but her connections are stronger. Since she brought Zerora back to Zal, their relationship has made great progress. Originally, there were only Devego and Hold'em on the list this time, and Setsuna was added temporarily. Anyone with ability can get promoted within the beasts, but the so-called absolute fairness does not exist. For example, Yamato, the biological daughter, Jack and Mariah, who have been trained since childhood, their futures are destined to be different. When the searchlight hit Setsuna, she was holding a skewer of grilled squid and had not figured out what happened. She was added to the list temporarily, and Zerora did not even tell her about it. And what they got was also different. Hold'em transformed form, flame lion, male lion form, looks similar to ordinary lions, but has red and yellow flame-like manes. And Devego got a fruit. He got 2 devil fruits from the auction, one of which was the bug fruit cannon beetle form. The remaining one was confirmed to be the ancient species of the bug fruit, the king isopod form after Devego's personal experience. Later, it was transformed by Arceus into the mythical species of the bug fruit, the armored warrior form. The armored warrior looks like a giant isopod standing up. In addition to 2 huge arms with huge claws, it also has 2 pairs of pincers to assist in eating. It is a Pokémon with dual attributes of water and insects obtained by transforming the bug fruit with a water drop slate. It is covered with very hard scales, which are said to be as hard as diamonds. This makes the mine safer. However, the most special one is Setsuna. The transformation she received is different from that of Devego and Hold'em. Her transformation is based on the changes in her genes under the guidance of Arceus. It is precisely because she is a wolf fur tribe and has wolf genes in her body that she can get this transformation. It often appears in some picture books with Zerora, the wave guide Pokémon, Lucario. Live well with Zerora. This is a wedding gift for you in advance. Take advantage of this power. Thank you for your power, but it's too early for Lord Arceus to get married. So it's given to you in advance. I think it's only a matter of time for you. The power spent on Hold'em and Devego combined is not as much as that spent on Setsuna alone. If it weren't for Zerora, she wouldn't have been able to get this power. The appearance doesn't change much when using the ability. For Setsuna, it's just dyed a color, and there's an extra spike on the back of her hand in the center of her chest. The biggest enhancement Lucario has for her is the power of the Wava Guide it possesses. Wava Guide is a special thing. For Lucario who can feel the power of Wava Guide, everything has its own Wava Guide. By detecting the Wava Guide emitted by the opponent, you can read their thoughts and actions. By sensing the fluctuations, you can even feel the posture of the invisible opponent. When this power is combined with the local power, it greatly enhances one's own observation haki. The power of Wava Guide combined with observation haki can play a stronger role, not to mention that the Wava Guide has its own destructive power. As for more users, it depends on how she develops them. In short, this is a very high limit ability. Okay, don't stand there stupidly. God's grace. Use your abilities and feel the power of Lord Arceus. The carnival has just begun. Next is the new giver. Let's see who the new lucky one is. The God's grace is just a beginning, not an end. Seeing the new people with abilities, the enthusiasm of the beasts has reached its peak. Finally, under the instigation of a group of people, Hold'em and Devego, as the new God's grace, started a duel. And Setsuna was completely out of it. As for why, it was a company team building now. It was okay to joke with colleagues, but joking about the boss's wife. In the private company of beasts, you may not see the sun tomorrow. The flashing light on Zerora's body has explained everything, and Setsuna also returned to his original appearance, and returned to the sidelines. So while the givers were gaining abilities, Devego and Hold'em also started their own duel. Both of them have just gained their abilities, and have not yet mastered the power. They are only fighting with their animal bodies. Although Devego's ability is transformed from the fruit, he has a great advantage in the battle. In terms of physical fitness, the armored warrior is stronger than the flame lion. At this time, Hold'em's claws can't hurt the opponent's extremely hard shell. Bite him. Bite him where there is no shell. You are a lion. Grab him below, Devego. I'm betting on you to win. Chapter 322, Kajiro, under great pressure, requests to resign. Pirates are also a high pressure group. They will face battles at any time. Everyone has fear, but it varies in size, so hedonism is very prevalent among pirates. The rewards they get will basically be spent quickly. Only a very small number of pirates will save money. Tobacco and alcohol have always been very popular items within the pirates, but the senior cadres of the beasts are somewhat different. The consumption of alcohol is basically for Kaido alone. As for tobacco, except for Quinn who can't leave cigars, no one else has such a big hobby. The third type of consumption is snacks. However, this aspect has no impact on ordinary pirates. In addition to the consumption of tobacco and alcohol, gambling is also a major interest of Fizz. At least the handicaps within the beasts are real handicaps without shady dealings. Kaido is the only dealer, and the purpose of this handicaps is just to entertain his men. Compared with the general dice method, the beasts have two favorite methods. One is roulette, which is the result of the reward mechanism left by Arceus before, and the purpose is to master the game of roulette. The other is gambling, which makes them more excited. Every time someone who has gained a new ability will have his first duel in this kind of crowd. The ring has been cleared, and Hold'em in the Lion Man state, and Avego in the Insect Man state, are fighting in the most primitive way. Although they belong to the same pirate group, the two have never stopped talking trash. Come on, I think you are just a kitten. Be careful not to break your teeth. TSK, what's so good about a bug hiding behind a shell? Come out if you have the guts. But in the end, Avego won. He was not like Mariah who thought the Insect Man state was too ugly. He was a pragmatist. His extremely hard shell and the extra forearms gave him an advantage in this kind of melee. As long as he protected his soft abdomen, Hold'em would have no way to deal with him. In the end, Avego captured Hold'em with 6 arms and won the game. This game was not the end, but a beginning. After them came the gifters, and in the end some ordinary pirates also joined in. Fighting has become a form of entertainment within the beasts. Any grudges must be settled in the ring. Playing dirty tricks in private is a serious violation of the discipline of the beasts. Yamato was originally a spectator, but in the end she was thrown down by Kaido. Looking at Yamato who suddenly appeared in the ring, the pirates of the beasts were a little overwhelmed for a while. But at this time, Kaido's voice came over. Listen carefully, little ones, those who are still in the ring, can go and beat her. Beat her and you will get the coveted reward. There is no need to hold back, do it with all your strength. Don't treat her as my daughter, she is your enemy now. Then he threw Ken number 5, who was originally placed next to Yamato's seat, down together. They hesitated for a moment, and seeing that Arceus did not stop them, and Kaido was still urging them, someone finally took action. I'm sorry, Miss Yamato, this is the order of Kaido. Then he was knocked down with a stick. Under the training of Kaido, it has become Yamato's instinct to fight back. Stupid, that's my daughter, I want you to come together. The elite soldiers are still ordinary members. With the end of the gift and the grace, it is simply a fantasy for them to fight Yamato alone. At Kaido's reminder, they launched a special group fight. Amid Kaido's satisfied laughter and Yamato's slightly angry and helpless condemnation, the carnival of Onigashima continued. In the following days, the beasts used Kazuki Hiyori as a puppet to issue new decrees one after another, and Wano country has undergone earth-shaking changes in just 1 month. As Jin said, everything Kazuki Hiyori got was in line with the treatment of the general, but it lacked freedom. Even Korematsu and others had to get his permission to see Kazuki Hiyori. However, Jin was not too strict in this regard. They could see Kazuki Hiyori every day, but the time they spent together was limited. But one day later, a patient arrived at the Pokemon Center of the Beasts. Mr. Kajiro, are you feeling unwell? Oh, this. Hair loss, insomnia, and palpitations. I need a comprehensive checkup. Kajiro walked in with a haggard face. He had a fulfilling month. When he first became the head of the Shinsengumi, the remaining elders in his family were moved to tears. This was the biggest proof of the family's resurgence. After all, this meant that a merchant family would re-enter the political arena, but later Kajiro found that he was too naive. Under the new policy, his Chamber of Commerce quickly spread to the entire Wano country as a semi-state-owned enterprise, and many things had to be decided by him personally. And the same thing happened with the Shinsengumi. A lot of things were thrown at him. At the same time, Hyagoro didn't let him go. Since he injured Hyagoro with Yanfan that day, Hyagoro has been pestering him. After Kazuki Hiyori succeeded to the throne, he didn't know what he was thinking. He would bring a knife to Kajiro to practice with him. According to Hyagoro, Kajiro's physical fitness was too poor, and such a powerful sword technique could actually hurt himself. In order to prevent this move from being lost, he wanted to train Kajiro. It just so happened that Jin was busy with other things recently. As a warrior, Shigoro's strength was enough, so Beishao let him train Kajiro. So under the dual pressure of work and training, he felt more and more haggard. The physical examination process was very fast, and the doctor also came to the conclusion, based on his physical condition: overwork. Well, your body is a little overloaded. You should rest more recently. Let go of what you can put down first. So on the second day, Kajiro came to Onigashima with the diagnosis report and handed in his resignation application for the general manager of the Shinsengumi. Resign. That's right, Lord Arceus. I'm really not good at management in this area. It's too different from business, and I don't have enough energy. Let this position be handed over to other capable people. The affairs of the Shinsengumi would consume a lot of his energy, but the results were often not satisfactory, so he made this decision. In that case, you can just use this title first, and you won't have to worry about the things there. There will be a few assistants to take over your work. Just focus on your own things. Got it? I will do a good job in the Chamber of Commerce. Chapter 323, Deino Deo and Akao Zenshin. It would be better for the chief of the Shinsengumi to let this local man be a figurehead for the time being. After all, the current Shinsengumi is a violent agency responsible for internal security in Wano country. If the pirates of the beasts are the external army, the Shinsengumi is the internal armed police. Kajiro is more suitable to be the chief, but he does not have enough energy, so he can just be a figurehead. The beasts can still find professionals in this field. Kajiro is very satisfied with this result. After all, he didn't even have time to play with the dog before. At the same time, he also found a deputy according to Arceus's request. Musashi, who was originally the head of the security, was gloriously converted to a full-time position. The Flower Capital and Odin Castle are both being rebuilt, and the lives of most residents have not changed. The impact of the new decree will take some time to take effect. For example, Kintero's family lives there farming and pastoral life as usual. Kintero goes to milk the big milk can as usual. As a teenager, he has become the main labor force in the family. At this time, his family is saving money for him because he is almost at the age to get married, but the process is still relatively long. They have just renovated their house with their savings from part-time jobs, and now everything is starting from scratch. There were milk bottles piled on the cart. He skillfully squeezed the milk from the big milk can, and then went to prepare new feed for them. After a few years of getting along, he gradually understood what the big milk can liked to eat more. At this time, he was collecting berries in the bushes, but this time he found a strange thing on the ground, a fruit that looked like a mushroom, but the red and green colors made him feel very strange. This thing should be poisonous, right? The brighter the fruit and fungus, the more likely it is to be poisonous. He didn't dare to feed this wild fruit, that he couldn't tell the type to others, or eat it himself, but he collected it. Whether it is herbs or poisons, they can exchange for a high bonus from the beasts. They usually collect herbs in the mountains. Intuition tells him that this thing is worth a lot of money. When he delivered milk, he also brought this fruit with him. At the Taoyuan Farms purchasing station, a pirate with a prosthetic limb was counting the crops. He was over 60 years old this year and joined the Beasts Pirates as an older pirate 11 years ago. Later, one of his legs was blown off in a battle, and since then he has come here to do a job in the elderly care industry. Uncle Haffert, this is today's milk. I know, I've put it down. Just wait for the money at the end of the month. By the way, Uncle, I picked up a strange thing today. How much do you think it's worth? He put down the backpack on his back and started to search. Herbs. Ordinary herbs are not worth much. You didn't go up the mountain today, right? Ordinary mushrooms are not worth. He didn't finish his words, and then he saw the strange mushroom that Kintero took out. What's wrong, Uncle Hafet? Don't you want to take this? Gurgle. He swallowed his saliva, and then Hafet said, take it, of course. Kintaro, you made a fortune. This is a big treasure worth 500 gold. The strange color and spiral pattern. There is no doubt that this is a devil fruit. The prices in Wano country are not the same as those in the outside world, but the beasts have already made regulations on this. If someone takes out a devil fruit, he can be given 500 gold as a reward, and his family will receive special protection from the beasts. This is a fantastic amount in Wano country. Kintaro didn't expect that an ordinary poisonous mushroom would be worth so much money. Although Kintaro didn't know the goods, Hafet didn't plan to secretly hide the devil fruit for himself to eat or exchange for money. Although this position is reserved for disabled pirates, it has also been internally reviewed by the cult of Arceus. Their own quality is higher than that of ordinary pirates, and there are notices above, but Kintaro has never seen it. If he finds out the truth and makes it bigger, it will not look good for him. There is also a very critical problem. His own talent is like that, otherwise he would not retire with an ordinary prosthesis. Those with combat talent are basically transformed like Scourge and continue to fight on the front line. He didn't have the habit of saving money. He could still tell whether to live happily for a while with the money or rely on the beasts to live a good life in the second half of his life. At this time, he had achieved Mandafesh's life goal and retired smoothly. However, Mandafesh was far from retirement age, and as he gradually mastered more things, he also had a greater ambition, that is, to retire smoothly as a senior cadre, but now he was still a long way off. I'll take the things first. 500 gold is not a small amount. I have to apply for it and then approve it. I will send it to you when the money comes. About half a month later, Hafet came to Kintaro's house. Seeing the pile of gold coins on the table, they were still a little unbelievable. 500 gold? Of course, they are all here. You can count them yourself. There is also this. Hafet took out a small sign. You can choose to join the beasts as a pirate, or go to the Shinsengumi as a samurai. Of course, if you don't like fighting and killing, you can be a team leader in the weapons factory. In short, you can choose a favorite profession within a certain range. Pirates, samurai. Kintaro was not interested in these. He didn't want to fight and kill, and the factory was too far away from Jiuli where he lived. In the end, he made an unexpected answer. Boy, you only have one chance. Are you sure? Sure, Uncle Hafet. Let me be your assistant at the purchasing station. As a person who goes to the purchasing station every day to exchange agricultural and animal husbandry products for money, he thinks the purchasing station is a great career. This huge sum of money has allowed his family to directly achieve financial freedom, and a job close to home has made him very satisfied. That's it. I thought you wanted to be a samurai. That was my childhood dream, and dreams can change. And the fruit that made Kintaro's family rich overnight has now arrived in the treasure house of Onigashima, the human fruit mythical beast type Denodo form. In addition to this fruit, Kaido also got another powerful fruit through trading. An orange persimmon-like fruit was also placed in the box dog fruit mythical beast type Dakao Shinshin form. Two mythical beasts, what a big harvest. Big mouth god. Ice wolf god Kaido, give me that fruit, I want to try something. What are you going to do? This is a powerful fruit that I spent a lot of money to get back. Just a small attempt, but I don't know if it will succeed. Chapter 324 Ideal and Reality, Yamato's future development. It's up to you, but be careful. It's not easy to find such a powerful mythical beast. People don't dislike having too much property, and Kaido naturally won't dislike having more ability users under his command. For Arceus, it is much easier to transform a devil fruit than to transform a person, so the beasts have been collecting devil fruits. The existence of the Millennium Dragon Farron has shown that the transformation form and the devil fruit ability can coexist, so such a mythical beast naturally meets Kaido's needs. However, Arceus is thinking about another thing, which is about the ability to give Yamato. Hey, Kaido, do you remember what you said about giving that girl Yamato the ability? Oh, have you decided what ability to give her? Not yet, but I have an idea for the time being. Those Pokemon that are strong enough are known as divine beasts. They are different from ordinary Pokemon. Everything they have adds up to their own power. Kaido pondered for 3 seconds, and finally picked up the wine gourd on his waist and started drinking. I don't understand what you are saying. Can you be simpler? The divine beasts have their own representatives. Life, destruction, earth, ocean, sky, time, and space. These concepts are related to their power. If they want to have complete power, these things cannot be emitted. They are not created as a single power or form, but a complete will. I can force my creations, but I can't exert their true power in that way. Ordinary transformations can use that power, as long as they are transformed, but the power of the divine beasts is like the tailed beasts. If you want to exert their full power, you must get their approval. So I understand. Those powers still need a test, right? That's about it. Then which one do you think Yamato is suitable for? We still have to observe, but it can be determined roughly. It's about the same as I expected. After all, that ability is unique. I want to try to create a new carrier with that big mouth of the true god. The topic has reached the stage where Kaido doesn't understand again. This time he gave up and let Arceus toss around as he pleases. The power of Pokemon is unique, even the legendary beasts are no exception. It's good enough that Groudon and Kyogre don't fight each other, let alone possess their power at the same time. Unless they are originally one. The power that Arceus chose for Yamato was not an existing legendary beast, but the disintegrated Daolang. Legend has it that a powerful dragon-type Pokemon assisted the two brothers in creating a new Unova region. Later, because of the brothers' disagreements, the powerful Pokemon was also divided into two, becoming the real dragon Lesram and the ideal dragon Zekrom. After rounding off and exaggerating a little, in another sense, this is also a small creator god, but the difference is very big. After all, it only changes the existing region. Their power is the only power of legendary beasts that can coexist, and at the same time, when they split, Kyurem's body was born. Lesram and Zekrom represent will and power. Kyurem represents the body, but Kyurem's personality is too irritable, so he plans to use the dragon slate to transform the great mouth true god and let it form a new body with the posture of the ice wolf dragon. At the same time, use this body to carry ideals and reality and create a new Daolang. Yamato's slightly naive thinking is more and more like Zekrom's ideal. As for how to get the recognition of the real Leshiram in the later stage, he believes that Yamato can do it. Both the power of Changpan and the physique of the super-real rookie have the meaning of preparing for this matter. Ideals and reality are not absolutely contradictory. Only when they reach a balance can the real beauty be realized. But what he is doing now is another thing. Devil fruits are afraid of water, and artificial devil fruits are also afraid of water. In other words, an indispensable part of a man-made material devil fruit, that part carries the power of the devil fruit, and also becomes something that makes people powerless in seawater. And what he wants to try is to retain the original power and remove the harmful substances at the same time. His power was not enough before, but now his power has recovered a lot, so he started this attempt. A month passed in a flash. During this time, Yamato experienced what it meant to be in dire straits, because Arceus had not appeared for a month, and the consequence of this was Kaido's crazy training, that became more and more severe. It was another familiar morning. Yamato opened her eyes on time, then looked at the clock in the shape of a Jigglypuff egg, and began to count down in her heart. 543, before she could count down to 1, a domineering aura of Conqueror's Haki rushed up. According to Kaido, there is no way to practice Conqueror's Haki. In this case, just feel more powerful Conqueror's Haki. Maybe you will become stronger, so Yamato will be baptized by Conqueror's Haki from Kaido every day. Now she naturally can't bear the impact of Kaido's Conqueror's Haki, and she will faint every time. She doesn't know how long she fainted, but after waking up, she immediately looked around vigilantly. The walls, ceiling, and floor can't bring her safety. At this time, a Kaido may rush out from anywhere to attack her. Her nerves have been tense to the extreme. But this is useless. Not only Conqueror's Haki, but also Armament Haki and Observation Haki she can't compare with Kaido. Her half-baked Observation Haki, which hasn't been completely introduced, is directly ineffective when facing Kaido. It wasn't until the afternoon that she could get a short rest after being injured. That Nubis physique is really useful. This way I can train you more strictly. Where did my godfather go? He has been gone for a month, right? How could he just leave without saying anything? He is on Onigashima, but he has no time to care about you. He is busy with other things now. But congratulations, you have passed the first stage of teaching. Hearing Kaido say this, Yamato's eyebrows showed a hint of joy. Is the training over? Of course not. This means that our second round of training is about to begin. Another month passed, and it was 2 whole months before she saw Arceus again. His experiment was successful, but now it was too energy consuming for him. To put it simply, what he did was to use a steel wire to take out all the patea seeds from a hole without destroying the overall structure of the patea. And the flesh has not been turned into mud, and the seeds have not been damaged at all. This mainly relies on the power of the fairy stone tablet and the evil stone tablet. If the ghost and psychic stone tablets are added, then this matter will be much simpler. He didn't intend to do such laborious work again until he found more stone slabs. Chapter 325 Are you really my biological father? During this time, Arceus still stayed in the underground treasure house of Onigashima. With Rotom's greeting, he left here again, but just after he came out, he noticed some vibrations. What is Kaido doing again? According to Wano country's own historical records, earthquakes rarely occur here, and this time the vibration was obviously transmitted from above. No one except Kaido would make such a noise. When he came to the roof of Onigashima, he happened to see Kaido's unique training. In fact, there was no difference in essence. He was just beating Yamato in a fancy way, but Yamato seemed to have seen a savior. Godfather, are you finally done with your work? No one would come here when Kaido was training. Jack and Mariah, who had already started to lie dead next to him, proved that they did not have as strong endurance as Yamato. However, the appearance of Arceus distracted Yamato for a while. Kaido would not stop because of this kind of thing, so Yamato also gloriously joined the lying dead team. Finished. It seems her training class is about to end. For some reason, Yamato, who had survived for 2 months, suddenly felt the urge to cry when she heard this. It can only be said that she had a very difficult time during this period. Godfather, what did you do? 2 whole months. Do you know how hard I was during this period? 2 months. Was I busy for that long? Otherwise, you wasted a lot of time this time. Kaido, who temporarily finished Yamato's training, put the 8 precepts back on his waist and walked to Yamato's side. In the past, Yamato had to worry about Kaido's sudden attack on her, but now that Arceus reappeared, she finally felt relieved. It's really time consuming, but it doesn't matter. Yamato, this is for you. He threw the great mouth true god to Yamato, but this made Kaido feel a little strange. If he remembered correctly, this fruit seemed to be found by him. Is this a devil fruit? I don't want to eat it. Godfather, I don't want to be a landlubber. Devil fruits are not difficult to identify. The strange patterns are unique in the sea. With a little study, you will have a certain understanding of them. Yamato also has the dream of going to sea. She doesn't want to give up the qualification of swimming for the so-called ability. Mariah herself is a landlubber. Her family has no talent for swimming, so they don't care about this matter at all. But Yamato still pays attention to this issue. Don't worry, what do you think I have been doing for so long? This fruit will not make you lose your swimming ability, just eat it with confidence. But as for the taste, I don't know what it tastes like. That meticulous project wasted a lot of his energy, and he didn't pay attention to things like taste. Hey, are you kidding? You really solved that problem? Hearing Arceus' words, even Kaido showed an incredible expression on his face. The birth time of the devil fruit was too long ago, and no one knows where the first devil fruit appeared. But the weakness of the devil fruit is well known to everyone. It's not that no one wants to solve this problem, but no one has ever succeeded. Arceus solved a century-old problem in 2 months. Of course not. I found a way, but there is no possibility of replicating it. For the time being, I don't want to do that kind of thing. Eliminating the disadvantages of the fruit is one thing, and wanting to eliminate the disadvantages of the ability user is another problem. This project must be more complicated. He didn't want to do this again before the ghost and the superpowered slate appeared. You are worthy of it. Okay, Yamato, don't waste your foster father's kindness, and eat it quickly. He took the big mouthful of the true god fruit, and stuffed it into Yamato's mouth. Cough, cough, father, are you trying to choke me to death? How is it possible? And you won't notice the taste of the fruit this way. Isn't this a good thing? It seems. That's it? Kaido said this, and Yamato suddenly realized that she didn't notice what the fruit tasted like at all. Thinking of Mariah's previous description of the taste of the fruit, this seemed to be a good thing. But according to common sense, Kaido would never do such a thing. As she expected, Kaido's next sentence exposed his evil heart. Yamato, do you know what the biggest advantage of the animal type is? A physique like a beast. Almost, but more importantly, the strong recovery ability. The fruit that your adoptive father has touched will only be stronger. The recovery ability brought by this mythical beast must be extremely terrifying, which also means that you can now withstand more beatings. Kaido stretched his muscles and bones, and bursts of empty sounds came. Come on, let me help you exercise the power of the fruit in actual combat. Now mobilize that power, and show me the power of the mythical beast. This time Kaido did not use a mace or domineering, but in Yamato's incredible eyes, Kaido transformed into a dragon man. Father, you are not serious, are you? Ugh, of course I'm serious, hurry up, or I won't give you the chance to transform. This is Kaido's logic. You have to experience what you learn. So he will use the 8 fasting when teaching Thunder Bagua, and he will also use the Conqueror's Haki when teaching Conqueror's Haki. When facing the fruit ability, of course he has to use the fruit ability. Arceus also wanted Yamato to master the power quickly, so he let Kaido do this. The big mouth god is a special carrier transformed by him, so there is not much change in appearance, except that the teeth have become sharper. However, watching the changes in the field, Jack, who has recovered some physical strength, seems to have some ideas. Lord Arceus, what's wrong? That, I also want to get a power like Yamato and Mariah. The young king of the ship was still a little shy at this time, but as the only one of the 3 who was raised in poverty, he was also a little jealous. Okay, is there any animal you like? Elephants are okay. I think elephants are the most powerful animals on land. Elephants. Sure, but you have to wait a little longer, unless you want to be a landlubber. Yes, I understand. In a sense, he was easy to fool. After getting a positive answer, he sat aside obediently, and didn't say anything else. Far away in paradise, something happened. During the 2 months that Arceus was in seclusion to make the fruit, Manfash escorted a ship of weapons to the kingdom of Sakai along Krakana Island in the first half of the Grand Line. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.